Hello, Mr. Mystical Crystal. I like that name. It's fun. How are you this evening? Hey, Jimmy Darrell. How are you? I am so excited about tonight's topic. This has been on my brain since Saturday. I'm so excited. Oh, good. Glad you're doing well. All right, so make sure you guys are like tapping and sharing because this is going to be an amazing conversation and deep dive. I've got one person for sure coming in, and potential second person coming in, both actual professionals. So I'm excited. On a scissor lift, I'm afraid I don't even know what a scissor lift is. I feel like I have to Google that. I feel like I actually legit need to Google it. Hey Diane, how are you? Hi Roxanne. Okay, make sure you're sharing this out. We're gonna get started here in just a couple minutes. We're gonna let people get. Hi. Hey Jennifer. Hi Janie. All right, we're gonna have a really amazing conversation. So I'm very excited. So the short of it is I actually had I take a development class through Camp Chesterfield Spiritualist College, and my mentor leads it, and a couple weeks ago she gave us an assignment. Oh, I see cats in the house too. Hello. She gave us an assignment on gratitude and just kind of taking the time each day to express gratitude or feel grateful for something, even if it's something that was uncomfortable, and just to see as an experiment how the vibration changed for the day, if it made a difference. And so I did it for most of the days actually, which was crazy because my ADHD brain, I'm lucky to remember like to do the normal things that people do in the mornings. I get so sidetracked, it's ridiculous. And so I actually remembered to do this, and then we had a follow-up conversation in class on Saturday, and where as a class, and these are all, this is like an advanced level mediumship class, and like these people have all been practicing for years, most of them longer than I have, and I've been in this for about 12 years, and so we deep dive into a number of topics, right? And the one about, and actually wasn't even gratitude, was gratefulness is how she put it. Gratefulness. How do we find gratefulness? And so I thought, what an amazing topic. What an amazing topic to jump into, especially with, Thanksgiving. But I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, I'm going to sit around on social media and once a day I'm going to post what I'm thankful for. Now, because then it's like weird. It's always dumb things, or like the normal things. And, going around the table at Thanksgiving and saying thank you. Well, I feel like this is a call to find a deeper sense of gratefulness. And for different reasons. So I know we talk a lot about when you're manifesting, for instance, I'll use an example. When you're manifesting, feeling like, oh, hey, I got two people in the house here that I need to bring in. I'm going to bring in Jen, and then I feel like, hang on here. We're going to get Patty in here also. Where's that Patty? Hey, Patty, request to come in. Where'd she go? Maybe I lost her. Maybe not.
Failure. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
Toxic positivity. It's okay. No worries. If you can't bring her in, it's fine,
It's fine.
Loretta. It'll all work out anyway. Even though I just got evicted, everything's going to be
It's
fine.
fine.
It's totally fine.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so thankful I'm getting evicted right now. I'm not getting evicted. That's like the next rumor. Did you guys hear that Jen's getting evicted? Like, I don't need that.
Well, maybe we'll come up with all kinds of TikToks for that one.
Yeah, I'm so glad you texted me because this really spurred a really good conversation between Luke and I. And he realizes, he's like, I have toxic positivity. I have toxic behavior when it comes to positivity, like immediately. And so it kind of sparked a conversation between us, which was really good.
Well, and
So
I've been
yeah.
actually, this has been coming up a lot in my, gratefulness, gratitude have been coming up a lot in my readings since my mentor, I don't know how much you caught of that, but my mentor had challenged us a couple of weeks ago to, just every day think of something, either write it down, say out loud, have whatever our brains function in, talk about being grateful,
Hmm.
something we're grateful for, right? And, and just kind of monitor and see how the day goes.
Hmm.
Just kind of see, make notes, make note, mental, whatever, write it down. And so then we circled back around 2 weeks later, and we all talked about it. And I tell you what, I mean, I had an amazing amount of things that kind of shifted in that 2 weeks. But in the moments that they were happening, it didn't really occur to me that that's what it was until I sat down and reflected. And I was like, okay, let's think about this. And I was like, all right, well, my memory sucks. So, Spirit, do you mind stepping in and helping? And so I'm like,
Yes.
just kind of taking notes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all these things
Hmm.
shifted. This is so cool. And so I'm like, all right, so how does this play in? Well, we did another deep dive in class on Saturday, and everybody talked a lot about what they were doing and how it affected them. And it affected everybody so differently.
Hmm.
It's like everybody got what they needed, but ultimately, gratitude raises your vibration.
Hmm.
And this is why I wanted you in here, because I know there's a psychological aspect to this,
Hmm.
and I want to make sure that I'm staying ethical within those boundaries. So I don't want to create toxic positivity inadvertently. So I
Right.
appreciate you coming in here. Plus, you do this work too, so you get it. You get it. You just have like a
Yes.
whole other layer. So just talking about all the different things and different ways it was helping. And so I thought tonight it'd be really cool to talk about like the different layers of it, even down to, I would love to hear, like, initially when somebody says, well, what are you grateful for? Okay, everyone in the class, tell me what you're grateful for. And what would be your immediate reaction? Jen, what are you grateful for?
Um, I'm grateful that I'm able to do the work that I'm able to do and stay at home and not have to be a part of the matrix in that. I mean, we're a part of the matrix, but not part of the matrix in that way. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful
Mm-hmm.
that my son is healthy and happy and almost 6 foot and he's 13 and like what is that about? So I'm thankful for my son. My house, it puts things in perspective. I tend to be more on the pessimistic side. So it depends on the personality too. It's like no generic information is going to apply to one person. So, like, I do mentorship, right? But sometimes that mentorship is on the psychology portion of things to where
Mm-hmm.
now we get into like it's for whatever you need. So sometimes it is it's about reading and pushing your intuition. But I mean, I've done 6 weeks where it's just digging out traumas, and not every single person. And that's what makes like what I do kind of interesting. I didn't really see that coming. Like I was texting you earlier that I was going to be able to apply as much as I have my degree with my work. So it's like that's crazy, but each person's different to where I need to stop and reflect because I tend to be on the pessimistic side, which a lot of people are, of like, this is going wrong. Well, when I sit back and I look at it, I need the affirmation. Somebody said I get up and say, or get up and say 3 things that I'm thankful for. That would apply to me, but that would not apply to Luke. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because he has toxic positivity. 100%. When he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been sleeping next to you for a year and I just now figured that out and I'm a licensed psychologist. I'm like, wow. But that definitely wouldn't apply to him because that's just a gateway um, for him to ignore his problems in a toxic way. So he's like, it's going to be fine. And I'm like, but how do you feel about this thing that just happened? Like something happened in his family like 6 months ago. And I'm like, well, how do you feel? And he's like, oh, it'll be fine. They'll be fine. Everything's fine. And looking back on it, I'm like, but it's not, but how do you feel about it? and it's just automatic response with that. So
Yes.
I think it depends on the person. Yeah, people are going to have different answers to it, but it's toxic because it's based on the personality's like the person's profile. You know what I mean? And I use the word profile because, my degree is in profiling and human behavior. So it depends on who the person is, and there is no one note answer, and things are not black and white. Like, there's not an all out answer for one thing, if that makes sense,
Right.
for one specific person for sure.
It
So it
does.
depends on the person for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things, yeah. So one of the things, the reason I definitely want to do here is to kind of help keep that balance of, ooh, that's crossing the line. That might be a
Hmm.
little bit of toxic positivity, because a lot of times too, we, how many times have mediums said, well, you can do what we do, and anybody
Hmm.
can do this, but then
Hmm.
not everybody
That's really good.
can,
I see where
and
you're
so,
going. Yeah.
then it's like, well,
Oh,
I guess
that's
I'm,
tasty.
I guess I'm just broken because I can't.
That's spicy right there. Woo! Throwing bombs, grenades today. That's a really good point. That's a really
But
good point, and it goes both ways.
yes,
Um, One
and
thing that I debunk. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go
I
ahead, go
love
ahead.
where you're going with this. I was just saying, like, I was thinking back to mentorship. The first thing that I do that I tell a mentee is you have the ability to have all four clairs. And anybody who told you that you couldn't, you may not be using one, but you can tap in to all four clairs. It just made me think of a little bit non sequitur, but it made me think of when we get on here and we do these 30, 3-minute videos or 60-second videos, and we talk about how we're chilling with our guides, talking about them all the time. We're just chilling and having tea with our guides and our answers. Just like I did that right before I got on here. I'm like, I'm just going to chill and just have some,
Have me a bowl of
couple
Cheerios.
have some Cheerios with my guides. And it made me think of that. I'm like, so that's one of the things is like, it's for a purpose. So one of the first things that I start with is what were those moments where you just knew something and I put it in context with them. Well, this was about to happen and I knew it was going to about to happen. And I just knew, okay. And it was for a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just I'm going to sit down and have Cheerios with my guides, but it made me think of that. But yeah, you're right. The medium, everyone's a medium. I think that is such an incredibly powerful point of like, well, but I can't. And there needs to be more to that. I get it as far as you can, but you have to be developed. And there needs to be more resources or more conversation instead of everybody can do it. I do agree. And it drives me crazy more the other way, Lorinda, when I hear you're born a medium or you're not, or you're born psychic or not. That's more of a trigger for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
what? Because that
right,
just screams ego. That screams like, you need to feel special and you need to know that you have a special
right,
purpose on this earth.
right.
And so,
And
therefore,
yes, yeah.
you
And so
know,
when people say things like, well, what about, you should be giving your gift away, gift, it's a gift. I'm like, it, the gift is that I had the time, energy, and resources to take development classes. That's the
yes,
gift. The gift is that. So for me, deep
hmm,
dive, I'm grateful for
yeah,
that, and then, I'm grateful not just for the ability to do it because yeah, we all have it, but
hmm,
one thing that we talked about in class was if you're going to tap into that, if you want to start communicating with spirit, even if it's just like you want to feel your mom because she's around you, and we know, you and I know because of the work we do, they're always
right,
around.
hmm,
And I am finding that I have to be very careful not to be like, well, they're always here,
right,
because someone who doesn't do the work we do
right,
is terrified
yes,
that their
yes,
loved one is not there. So we have to be
facts,
very careful with that. But anyway, I'm getting derailed. But when we practice, I noticed even just in my own practice as a medium, when I was practicing gratitude, simple every day, who
hmm,
really, grateful for, these socks that I left next to my bed accidentally because my feet are cold and when I'm getting out of bed, like even just like starting the day with something I'm
hmm,
thankful for, kind of helped shift my mindset,
right,
helped psychologically shift. And then I was like, oh yeah, ooh, these socks feel great, um, And then through the day, I noticed like, okay, as part of this experiment, I'm going to start being thankful for things that are uncomfortable.
Mm,
Why, okay, I'm trying to give an example. I was super stressed about my show, right?
hmm
But I was trying to be thankful. I'm like, okay, so I'm really thankful for the stress this show's causing me because it's actually forcing me to step out of my comfort zone and do something different and work harder. Therefore, I am learning something new. So
hmm
like I had to find gratefulness in those things that even made me uncomfortable or sad or um, that that I really didn't like.
Yeah.
you know, and that was part of my experiment, and it was really very eye opening for
hmm
me. And listening to my classmates in my development class all saying the same thing, but they were getting as mediums, as already developed mediums, we were like kind of leveling up for lack of a better word, like in some of our practice. And so I started thinking, okay, how do we apply this to people who don't do what we do?
Right.
And I asked that like out loud, and all of a sudden spirit's like, get a pen. I'm like, okay. And I start
Yep.
writing this stuff down, and I'm writing and writing, writing. And some of the I have to look at my notes. I don't remember most of what I wrote down for
Yeah.
how we can like deep dive into gratitude. And I had a really good conversation with someone that I had done a reading for not too long ago, and then had reached out and was like, or actually I had reached out and was like, hey, how are you doing? And they were like, I'm like, all right, let's talk, let's talk. We talked, and like all of a sudden all that information started just bleh, and
Yes.
all these things, and I saw the energetic shift in this person.
Yes. Yes.
And they
Yes.
and I had those moments where they go, I never thought of it that way.
Yep.
How are you thankful? How do you turn something that's so negative into something positive without being toxically positive about it? That's
Right.
that's the thing that gets to me. Um,
I want to address a comment real quick. Been looking to my own. Can you tell me about the first time you channeled? I want to address this real quick, and Lorena, you can give your thoughts on this. Channeling. So I did not start channeling myself until about 4 months ago, even though I was reading. The actual channeling where you're trained, and I know you are, Lorinda, and you know that I am, like you train and you work with all these symbols, which by the way, what you're talking about, the second I see an egg, it's a symbol, an egg frying on a sidewalk, I know I've hit the thing with the person. I know that the guide, like their guides, I've hit the thing that they need to hear. It may not be what they want to hear, but I know the information that they needed to hear. I see it and I know. But for me, channeling, and again, I'm going to share my philosophy on this, and Lorinda, jump in, and give your thoughts. But channeling comes from once you don't like. There's this thing of this 5 to 8 seconds where you know you should say something if you're dealing with clairaudient, right? You hear it, and you sit with it, and your head starts to pound, and your heart starts to race because you're not saying the damn thing, whether it be psychic or medium, whichever. And so then you say it. Channeling comes from that time becoming shortened with saying the thing you see, clairvoyant, doesn't matter, claircognate, whatever. Saying the thing without hesitation will get you into a place where you're channeling. And so now when I read, I literally do not remember anything I say because I committed to myself, no matter what, I'm going to say the thing. If I get a no, I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to figure out why I interpreted the information wrong. Because a lot of people don't understand. It's not, and this isn't ego. You're just not translating it properly.
right.
Like you're not, for example, I had a student sit in with her with a mediumship, and she saw a casino thing and the thing going down, and she said, "Did he like casinos? Like, was he?" And she was like, "No." And I hesitated and I waited, and I saw a cow. Um, I saw a cow and a red dot, and I said, "I'm seeing the same thing I think Lauren's seeing, but I see a cow and a red dot." That's the thing in the entire mediumship that hit for her because it was a red dot and a cow. It was Red Bull is what it ended up being. And that's like the last game they played before he ended up, and everything kind of unfolded. But it's interpreting the information. You say casino and the person doesn't know. So I know that's off subject, but to me, channeling comes from it comes from training, true channeling, and you're not giving, you're being literally an outsource to have the information flow out of you. And channeling comes from not waiting any time before you see the thing that you say, hear, know, see. And that's how channeling starts to happen. And it didn't happen to me. And I've been doing this work and I've taken the classes until 4 months ago because I said, I'm done. I'm just going to say it. I'm not doing the headache. I'm not doing the pounding heart. I'm just going to say it and see what happens. And I do get some no's. We all get no's. And I'm like, let me look at that again. But back on track, I apologize. But back to squirrel. Back to the positivity. Let's talk about that. Okay, so the original example was like, or that I said when I came on is, I'm getting evicted. That's fine. Things will be fine. You can say that, and it could be not toxic if you've looked for homes and you've planned and you're trying to be positive. But if you're sitting and you're getting evicted in 26 days, this is something that happened to me. My father had a heart attack. I found out I had cancer. My boyfriend was cheating on me, and I got a note saying I was getting evicted. This was my dark night of the soul, all at one time. And I was like, it's going to be fine. Now, me being pessimistic, toxic positivity was not my problem here, Loretta. That was not the issue here.
It was not the problem, right?
That was not the problem. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, this is about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm like, okay. And I took a deep breath and I was like, you have to think of the things that you're positive for. You're still here for a reason. Your son, you're here for, you need to be here for your son. I have a best friend who I know is going to be there for me, and I have good credit. I'll find a place to live. It's going to be okay. But if I say it's going to be okay, and I'm sitting there and I'm not doing anything about it, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Well, and then the eviction comes and all my shit's on the sidewalk. That didn't really work. And that's something that's happened to Luke. Like I said, this was a whole can of worms that you open in a good way of like, he's like, oh, that's me. I'm toxic positivity all day long. And I'm like, oh, you are. That's why you irritate me so much. Sometimes, because I'm like, this stinks. And he's like, it's all going to be okay. I'm like, it's not going to be okay though. Like, so that's something that you opened up that's going to be very positive for our relationship. Seriously.
Yeah. Good.
And y'all are too kind, but yeah.
Well, so let's go.
Hey guys.
Let's go back a little bit. So,
yes.
How can you book? Go to my thing and go to my website and book. It's super easy. And thanks for asking. So my mentor described gratitude and gratefulness as the mother of joy. So I want to make sure we're distinguishing between joy and that positivity. Joy comes through the body. It comes through your spirit. It comes through, it feels physical almost even, where, positivity is a choice we make up here. Positivity comes from here and comes out here, right? Comes out your mouth.
Facts.
Where, and it can be a feeling, where gratitude is truly feeling in your spirit. So, so she had said, gratitude is the mother of joy. Like it's when you're talking about even manifesting, if people are trying to manifest or bring good things into their life, I always say, well, imagine you already have it and create that feeling of joy and gratitude as if you already have it. And that's don't worry about how you're going to get it. Just know that you're going to feel as if you're already grateful that you have it. So, just relating gratitude and gratefulness and joy and how we can help raise our vibration, because when we have joy, our vibration raises. And I tell people, if you are coming across negative, even if you're just scrolling through TikTok and it's negative after negative after negative, go watch puppy videos. Purposely go watch happy puppy videos, because it will instantly bring you joy and raise your vibration. And then you can be grateful for that moment. And then by the time you go back, you're no longer aligned with those things. So these things are going to kind of fall away. And it happens with humans. Like, have you ever noticed, like, when your vibration changes and you're choosing joy, you're choosing to be, even for the negative things, being grateful for things, how different your landscape looks
Right.
suddenly.
Yes.
I've had someone who was extremely active in my life, um, that has just all of a sudden fallen off the radar. And I've reached out, and like it's just like barely coming back. I'm like, can I have, if I pissed anybody off? And I have not. Um, but I know that I've also changed my way of thinking. I'm not living in that in between. I'm not a negative person by any means, but I'm trying to raise that gratitude. I've noticed as I've started being more grateful and doing the deep dive, which we'll get into, with gratefulness and how that feels. I've noticed that there are people that are like kind of falling off my radar.
Mm-hmm.
And there are new people coming into my radar that I think I'm just like, oh my gosh, these people are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like, I'm not talking clout TikTok necessarily. I'm talking about real people in my life, like
Right.
outside of here, but
Yep.
regular real life. And not to say this isn't real life, but you know what I mean. And
I
I've
do.
noticed that the landscape has started changing. And and it's interesting because you have to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being grateful will actually invite joy. It keeps you humble and keeps you in a state of appreciation. Absolutely. That very well said, Miss J. Thank you. Um,
Absolutely.
so um, it was just wild because it just having that assignment just literally clicked, like flipped a switch in my brain. It was the coolest thing, and seeing the results, like not just it's like reflecting on how it all played out. And then so one of the things, let me look at my um ooh, here, this was a really good quote. Somebody in my class who's well known in his circles, and he's been doing this for many, many years. He said, gratitude is like the staff that helps us on the walk through life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
gratitude helps us keep moving. Gratitude keeps us moving. It keeps us stable, and it keeps
Mm-hmm.
us upright. And think about all the things that a staff does for you. If you're carrying a staff,
Mm-hmm.
what's it going to do for you? And thinking of it that way, I thought, well, wow, that was pretty powerful, you know,
Yeah.
um, to look at
Absolutely.
it that way. And
You have to think things in perspective too as a psychologist, because I'm here to play, well, not devil's advocate, but I think that's part of it is like, you have to think of the person when somebody knows absolutely everything that can go wrong, will go wrong, and they try to, with those traumas, and then you start to do that. There's a reason why statistically proven that people believe but like if you tell them 10 things and nine of them are positive and one of them are negative, they're going to focus on the negative.
absolutely.
Like that's a statistical proven fact when it comes to the human mind. So I think it's a matter of you may understand that, but it's how do you reach the person, and each person's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the tree. I call it the tree is what I call it in my work. And you have to figure out what the roots are. Like what is it based on? You know, is it going to be, back to the stupid metaphor of the apartment? Is it going to be okay because you've made prep? Like, why is it okay? And my God, I will ask why in a session, and it's amazing to get people to think about it. Why? And not only that, statistically, people live in the past or they live in the future, but people do not stay in the moment. Being thankful for the socks on the side of your bed that are going to keep your tootsies warm is living in the
In the
moment.
moment.
That's
Yes.
being grateful in the moment and all of these things that we don't think about. Like, I'm in remission. I don't have cancer now. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I'm in remission. I could focus on the other issues and whatnot, but I'm thankful for that because chemo sucks. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like so it's keeping things perspective, but it's not acknowledging the pain, because I have endometriosis and I have some other health issues, but it's not acknowledging those things, but just being thankful. Hey, I'm glad I don't have that as well. But I think it's a matter of, again, like digging deeper of why. Why are you thankful for those socks? Well, they keep my feet warm. Like, but that really is a moment of being in the moment. Like one of my favorite things is to take those big fuzzy socks or that blanket, throw it in the dryer, and that absolute fantastic feeling you have when you put them on your tootsies and you wrap yourself in a
Hmm.
blanket. It's like we overcomplicate the joys of life too. You know what I mean? It's all those little things that sometimes just keep you
Yes.
going.
And we're going to talk about that's on my list of things to talk about too.
I got you,
Oh yeah,
bud.
I'm super excited. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of deep dive into, and I asked the person I talked to the other day about this. Okay, so a lot of people are bringing up trauma colors your perception. Trauma changes the way you think of things. You have a hard time focusing sometimes in the moment because you're living in the fear of what if again, what if,
Yes.
or what if I'd have done something different in the past. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so this was the question I wrote down that Spirit said to write down. And it took
Mm-hmm.
me 2 days to like really let it soak in. How do we reconcile and be grateful for our fears and our traumas? How do we
You sur
reconcile that?
you survived.
So then,
Like
the
first and
example is
foremost, you survived.
what, right. So, but why am I grateful
Yeah.
for? So, one of my fears, and I've said this before, this is nothing I haven't said before, but some of you might be like, oh, wow. So, one of my true deep rooted fears that I had, I was like, okay, let me find something good and deep in there that,
Yeah.
one of my biggest fears is being forgotten.
Mm,
The day I die, people just like, I never existed
yeah.
because people have left my life so quickly and easily that I'm like, well, they
Right.
could just go and like never look back. Who else? So I had to do that deep dive where like, why am I grateful for that fear of being forgotten, or easily forgotten and left behind? Why am I grateful for that?
Yeah.
The answer for me was to go, I'm grateful for that because it makes me makes me see others differently, that
Yes.
makes me appreciate and help them feel like they will never be forgotten.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for that perspective and that perception, that even though that feeling, that negative feeling doesn't serve me, I can turn that into, how can I be grateful for that?
Mm-hmm.
And turn that into a positive moment in that moment to raise my vibration and be okay and reconcile that fear and de take the power away from that fear.
Yep.
Because I tell you what, since acknowledging that, like my perception of that is different now. It has energetically
Yes.
shifted,
Because you didn't think
you
about it
know?
until you did. You disarmed it because you thought about it. It's can we just normalize triggers? There's a misconception if
Mhm.
I go to counseling that I'm not going to have triggers. I am here to tell you as a licensed
Oh,
psychologist with 12 different certifications that that is absolute BS. I'm going to say BS because I'm going to respect Lorinda and no bananas today. Because that, I mean, just think of the real word in your head because that's where I'm in it with
what's
my heart.
happening? I'll
That
say
is
it.
what is happening. Um, but it's complete BS. What first and also, and Lorinda, I know you agree with this. I've never fixed anybody a day in my life. You fix yourself.
One
Period.
thousand percent. Yes.
You do not, I have not fixed anybody. I have not done anything. But what it will do is it will give you the tools that you need to disarm them. I am triggered to this day, and trust me, I have put in the work. I became a psychologist because I was so messed up that I needed to fix myself. I'm like, I need to find out about the human mind because I need to figure out why I was true. Now, of course, that opened up a can of worms, and I was guided by my guides to the right psychologist who helped me dig. But I still get triggered, but I know how to disarm those triggers and I know what to do. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to do that. And then what you're talking about, it's because you never stop to think about. That's what I'm talking about with the why. Or stopping and really assessing that fear. We run from the fears. We run from them or toxic positivity or whatever it may be to get us through the day. And
Mhm.
yet it still sits. That baggage, we still carry it around. And I just think that's
It gets
really an
heavy.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really
Well,
heavy. Yes.
and I think the more, like I said, the more we deep dive into it, the more we realize that what we're fearing is and it being triggered,
Mm-hmm.
if we can be thankful for those triggers. This is how I did it too. I was thankful for the triggers because it reminded me that I'm healed from that it no longer affects me. And by having that gratitude or gratefulness for the trigger and
Mm-hmm.
taking a moment, I've disarmed it.
Yes.
I'm not being toxic. I'm not being like, oh, well, see,
Yep.
everything's fine because I da 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 da. No,
Mm-hmm.
I can still disarm it, feel, allow myself to feel what that trigger did for me,
Yes.
be grateful for it because I can say, you know what, I'm so thankful that triggered me just then because that is something I clearly have not worked on. And
Yes.
now I have the wherewithal in the mind, the
Mm-hmm.
mental capacity to take a moment and work through that and figure out how it has how I can be thankful for that. Not toxic positivity thankful, but really truly grateful, like, wow, you know what, I'm glad I don't live with that anymore. I'm glad I'm not actually, it might be triggering, but I'm not experiencing that in my daily life anymore. Does that make sense?
Right.
So so one
Absolutely.
so one thing that I had done a TikTok just on a story. It was like our 1 minute thing, and it was about it was a story of two wolves. Okay, story of two wolves, and I thought this was so powerful. Um, it was about a Cherokee grandfather teaching his son, and he tells his son, or his grandson, I have two wolves inside that are fighting.
Mm-hmm.
There are two wolves that are fighting. One is ego, fear, ungratefulness, all the negative emotions, all the bad things, all the things that stem from fear, right?
And the other thing is love, baby.
And the other wolf, it comes is joy,
Yeah. Joy. Mm-hmm.
love,
Mm-hmm.
like all the other things that come with it. And the grandson says, "Well, which one's going to win?" And he says, "Whichever one." He was saying everybody has these two wolves fighting inside them.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, which one will win?" And he said, "Whichever one you feed."
Facts. Yeah, I've heard that one. Facts.
So so
Such a
if
good one.
so if you can feed that positive side, even through the negativity and the trauma, if you can feed that part where in the moment you're creating in the moment, in the now, creating thoughts or things. Quantum science has proven that. If you can in that moment create something that's bigger and stronger to help disarm this, not to bury it, not
Yeah.
to put a wall up,
Mm-hmm.
but to disarm it and empower yourself, how amazing could our lives be, even after as much trauma as so many of us have been through,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, I love that. Whichever one you feed. And I've had people ask me that, like which one, and I always say that, like which one is going to grow. Depends on which one you're feeding, because you're feeding the fear. Because to me, there's two choices. There's fear or love. Like you're going to choose
yes.
one, or feed the other. Um, and you choose one or the other. One thing I'll share, since you shared, is coming on this app. Like the very first time I went live on this app was January 12th. In December, I had no account. In fact, just a little comedy to throw in there. I had a brand new account, but I didn't have a lot of followers and I didn't have a picture and I didn't know how it worked. So I kept getting banned from every room and I didn't know why. People, then later on I figured out people thought I was trolling and I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? I just want
I
to say
just want
hi and I
to,
just want to sit
right.
in the room. But anyway, so I had decided that I'd taken multiple classes just to keep up on the intuition, but I had a real life job psychologist. I always lean back on that, but I was in the corporate world and whatnot. And this year was really, really eye opening and it triggered me. TikTok has triggered me in so many ways. Like Lorinda, my dream was to just go on there and see. And I remember calling my best friend and said, I need to do this. And she's like, what? I'm like, I need to do the thing. Like, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm so miserable because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So January 12th, I went live. I was ready. I was trained, and I didn't know this past year how much I would be triggered by just and I've talked a little bit about it on my page about the unfortunate things that happen in the spirit community, like spiritual community. I was
Mhm.
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I didn't understand like that. And it triggered
There's
me
a
so
whole
bad,
learning curve. There's a lot of learning curve with
dude,
that when you first come on.
for real. And I didn't fall into the right. I was just like, hey, and I'm just like, hey, I'm going to share, blah, blah, blah. And it was, I didn't realize that. And first of all, you should not be getting all of your information from TikTok, like your spiritual, just point blank, period. Like, please do
Right.
not think that, and this is a great discussion, and I am licensed, and Lorena is fucking absolute badass trained.
Thank you.
I said that. I was trying.
It's fine.
She's trained in her craft. She's trained in her craft. But seriously, if you're trying to learn, though, like that's why Lorinda has classes. That's why I have classes. It's like so you can get the training off of here. But that really shook me. Some of the things that people were saying about me, and I'm like, people I didn't know. And then you turn around and you're blocked from that person. You don't know what you did. I'm like, I don't know what I did. But Susie told Freddie, who told Joanna that you evil, you do witchcraft. Like, what? So I kept getting triggered, and that's something that I realized that perfectionist or that need to be perfect or to try to do everything right or do right by people, which I do. My heart is in the right place, and I know that. Not that I'm not perfect, but that was a huge trigger for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take me down. And I'm like, why is this taking you down? And I had to go all the way back to why I was feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so,
in that
and once
moment,
yes,
so in that moment, you can be like, now you can look back and say, in the present, you can be thankful for all those. You can have gratitude and be grateful for all those weird, bad things that happened. Because
yes,
now it's helped you develop and learn how to be where you are now. That's not
yes,
saying that all that was okay.
right. Yeah. And it
It's
kept
not saying
hitting
that.
me until I got it. It just kept coming. And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. And it kept hitting me. And it led me I kind of felt it's just kind of interesting some of the connections that I've made because, like, for example, I Googled something, like I found Meg, for example, who's a wonderful psychic medium, right? I found her because I was in somebody, I'm like, this is not real. Like this kid, this is not real. And so I Googled, like, does anybody ever said anything about, and that's how I found Meg. And that's how I found Matt. And that's how I found Dana. And that's how I found Lou. You know what I mean? And that's how I found all these people. And really, one of the things too is if you stop and you look at how sometimes things kind of really do work out, and I'm not getting religious, but work out for your higher purpose and good, it would really blow your mind if you sat there and thought. I remember, quick story, I remember asking, like, I don't have any money at the time, and I've got to drive 40 minutes to work, and I'm basically doing this job because I know it's going to lead to better things in my life, right? And I'm like, please, like my car was making a noise, and I'm like, please, guides, whoever the fudge is out there, can you just keep my car together, please? It's making a noise. Literally on the way home, it was raining, cats and dogs, and I couldn't see anything, and something flew underneath my car and completely shut down. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like it hit the transmission, got a hole, and it leaked, something was leaking out of it. And I'm like just sitting there completely devastated that I had just asked and this happened. Well, I'm a Volkswagen girl, and there's this guy at the shop, and he had been there since he was just like a consultant, temporary, and he ended up owning the shop, right? So I go and I get my car in, and they're like, we're going to total your car. And I was upside down. I still owed money on the car. And I'm like, no, 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 we can't do that. I'm like, please. He's like, I've known you forever. I've known you for 15 years. He's like, I will work something out. I'll call the insurance company. And the insurance company calls me and says, hey, we're going to take one more look at it, but if we decide to total it, it's done. So he lowered the parts. He found a way to kind of crunch the numbers, if you will, and they didn't total my car. Long story short, he said your transmission was about to go out and it would have cost you $3,000. And now it's just going to cost you the $487 for your, $500 deductible, but it was $5,000 worth of work. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1,000, as I'm sure you do, stories like that. That's just like, and then and then I'm like kind of mad, like that's how we decided to do that. It was freaking me out. And my car is almost totaled. But then it's going back to having faith. And I remember surrendering and saying, I don't know how you're in this, but I know you're going to work this out for my good. and it's going to be okay. Even if I have to get a new
Right.
car or whatever I have to do, I know you're doing something here. This is not good. I'm not happy about
Right.
it. This sucks, but we will figure it out. And then that happened.
And yeah, and even in that
It's
situation,
crazy.
like, yeah, that terrible thing happened, but at the same time, you were not hurt. Like, nobody was hurt. It just was a sucky situation, caused a lot of stress. But then, like, you can look back and go, okay, wow, I'm great. That was somewhat traumatic. Like, I was very stressful, but now I can look back and go, okay, I'm grateful that this happened, because I may not have done it. And Spirit knew that I would not be handling my business with that thing until it was just like way in over in my head. So there
Exactly.
is there is that, yeah, like B7 says, you got to trust the process. You got to trust what Spirit's saying, and that goes back to manifesting too. Like, if you're going to see yourself, like, be feeling grateful for something that you want, you have to feel
Mm-hmm.
grateful as if you have it already.
Yeah.
You've brought it into existence, but you don't worry about how it's going to come. And I think that's where our stress is. And I think this is where you were saying, Luke, like, he is toxically positive, but at the same time, guess what? He knows we could turn that around and go, he knows it's going to be okay, and he's not going to worry about how. It's not the okay part that bothers us, it's what
Yes.
happens in between. And he's
Facts.
ready. By that point, he's disarmed, and he's like, well, whatever comes is going to come, and we'll deal with it as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just lowered his blood pressure. And but he's, and who knows what else is going on in his mind. I don't know, I can't say, but like, it's that going back to how do you empower yourself with those moments of gratitude? How do you empower yourself with it? And that is, and still not feel like you're justifying or glorifying bad things.
Right.
You're reconciling with it and saying, okay, yep, that was terrible. What good came of it? How do we, and you're disarming it. You're no longer giving it power. And then you should, in theory, start seeing the triggers lessen. And as they do come, if something triggers a negative memory, or like for me, sometimes they're physical triggers. Like, I will physically be affected by things. And now I feel like, okay, if I can stop and go, okay, why is this triggering? Let's look back. Oh, I disarmed that.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that we are through that. And this is what I learned from it. And this is what I do differently now. I'm so glad that I do things differently now. So it's finding the right place to land with it, for sure. But that's where the deep dive comes in, is just recognizing.
The moment something happens, handling it in the proper way will cause you not to have to look back and say, shit, I didn't deal with that. And then it just keeps coming up. I think there's a happy medium to, in fact, I really feel strongly there is, between how Luke handles things and how I handle things.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I don't know how it's going to be okay, but it's going to be okay. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, what? But
Right.
how? And he's like, it's going to be okay. Like, it always is okay. But how are we going to get there? I don't know, but it's
It
going to
doesn't
be
matter.
fine.
But you know what? When you order something on Amazon, you don't worry about who took my order, who printed the label, who got the box, who went and got the thing, who got it down, who put it on the truck. What the guy for half the price
Yep.
is going to deliver to my house? You don't worry about anything that happens between the time you hit buy and
Order. Yeah.
and oh, there it is.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's like Christmas. Yes.
And so that's, that to me, that he's the Amazon ordering guy. He doesn't worry about where it comes from or how it.
Yes.
He just knows. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the day he says, this is not going to be okay,
Yeah, I would freak out,
is the
man.
day you go,
Whoa.
and then you all of a sudden become grateful for that toxic positivity that he's always had.
Yes. Where is the lie in this? Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And when he is down, I know that something is truly bothering him. And I react to that. I'm like, okay. For him, we're working on, and we have a fantastic relationship, but we're working on our communication of how to communicate. And I could tell, I'm like, could I just not be psychic around you all the time? Can I just be Jen and you just be Luke? But I sensed one time he got off a live, he was like, that was just a really, really slow live. And I'm kind of sad about it. And it was kind of cool to be able to play You want me to be the positive one? I'm a triple Capricorn with no water in my chart. Like it's Sahara Desert over here. Like, or
Totally.
what? Yeah, Arizona, like Nevada, where I
Oh
was
my
actually
gosh.
raised in Arizona. So I'm like, I just imagine like, the Sahara Desert. I'm like, okay, wait, that's my role now. And I was like, you're starting a business. It's going to be okay. You just started. And I'm like saying this, I'm like, I should practice this more, is my point to that. Like, you just started, you've got to give yourself time. You saw when I started, like, I had to hustle. Like, you have to hustle. You have to have faith. You got to dig in. You got to work. You got to work it. But it was just interesting to your point. When he's not in that place, I naturally kind of take the opposing, which is good for me because it makes me very uncomfortable. And we need to be very uncomfortable sometimes,
Yes.
you
And
know?
and and I'm sure at that now you're looking back going, wow, I'm grateful now in this moment that I had the wherewithal to step into that and
Yeah.
navigate it. Like, and so it's just those little reminders every day. I think that it's so important, and this is how you can literally truly raise your vibration and bring yourself to a better awareness. Again, not dismissing anything, not shoving anything under the rug, because guess what?
Hmm.
It always comes back. If
Yep.
you shove things under the rug, it'll come back. But if you
Hmm.
can if you can deal with it head on and disarm it through raising your vibration and seeing things from a higher perspective and seeing things from a different perspective, whether you do this work or not, it doesn't matter.
Right.
That it really doesn't matter, that you don't have to do this kind, you don't have to be a medium or a psychic or do spiritual work to understand that you can, that being thankful
Hmm.
makes a difference. And one of my classmates, I'm going to slight shift, um, he had said, he had labeled something, um, he had said activated gratitude.
Hmm.
Activated gratitude. I'm like, ooh, I'm listening. That sounds
Tell
fancy.
me more. It does sound
And
fancy.
it's simply, all it was, by expressing gratitude, um, for someone else, to that person,
Mm,
um, you have raised their vibration in addition to your vibration. And then so you're activating
yes.
gratitude, not just in yourself, but to someone else, who then is that whole concept to pay it forward. And it can just be
Yes.
something as simple as like, I noticed that your hair looks really pretty today, or thank you so much for being so kind to someone. Just giving that compliment in that moment, or even saying, you know what, thank you for just always being here and always being around. You are raising your own vibration in the present, and then you're also raising their vibration in the present. And then what are they going to do? You've activated this gratitude, and
Hmm.
you've activated this positivity, even if it's just a tiny spark in them, and they're going to hopefully do the same for somebody
Continue
else.
on.
And it's
Let
just
me ask you this.
Mhm.
On that note, when somebody compliments you, how do you take it?
Oh, I'm much better at it now. You ready?
I am here for it because I'm the worst. So this is like
Thank you.
legit. And our personalities seem to be sarcastically aligned. So I figured
Yeah. I had
I
to
would
learn to
ask.
say thank you. And I learned this from Dr. Phil. You ready for this? If somebody would compliment me, and I would be like, it was like, oh, your hair looks nice today. Oh, God, no, it doesn't. It does
Hmm.
not. Like, he's like, you calling your friends a liar? Are,
Yep.
are you calling him a liar? Like, I'm like,
Hmm.
no, no. And it's getting out of your own way and being able to accept when someone, um, I've been trying. I've been trying.
A plus plus from Miss
From
Kimmy.
Kimmy. I have been trying because it is hard. And my generation, I mean, Gen X, we were raised that if you feel good about yourself in any way, shape, or form, you are an egomaniac and you're surely going to burn somewhere. Like, and
Yep.
you're terrible and selfish. And that's just how we were raised. And
Yes. I'm two
so
weeks
that's,
from a Gen X, so I totally get it.
you
I'm
might as
like,
well be. Yeah.
uh-huh.
So accepting compliments, Dr. Phil for the win. That's right. Um,
Right, right.
uh, and I've learned to, even if my brain initially says, oh God, no, I'm not, thank you. And if I'm truly unsure, like, well, thank you for the compliment, but I think I don't. That's interesting because I don't see it that way. Why did you see it that way? Or I might even engage in conversation about it. Like, especially if my inner being is like, no, I'm not. No, you know. So I've learned, I honestly, it's been a conscious effort to say thank you. And that by doing that, I am showing gratitude, but which also comes to the one of the things on my list. How
Ruth, I am the worst. Don't lie to this beautiful woman. Go ahead.
how to express gratefulness. Oh, hold on. Nope, nope. How do you accept the gifts that gratitude brings? So if
Ooh.
you're grateful and you're saying, oh, and you feel yourself shifting, and all of a sudden things start happening that are good to you or good around you, and you're so used to that not being the case, how do you, there's a whole learning curve of learning how to accept that. And not just the compliments, but the people coming into your life, the house that you dreamed of all of a sudden is now your house. Like, how do you accept those things? And so one example of someone in my class, and she's like, oh, you can use this on your TikToks. All these people think
Oh,
it's hilarious that I do the TikToks. Um, and she said, she had applied. Her mother had passed last year, and it was a big, huge to do, and she was still sad. And there was a lot of other tragedies that happened, and she had some health issues, and she was like, but she just works. She's a higher up wherever she works, and she and her boss, he was like, how can I help? She's like, yeah, give me 3 months off. And they were like, ah. And she's like, but really, like,
hmm
there's so much going on. I've never recovered from I never took the time off. I never took the time to heal. I need that time. And so she puts it out in the universe, and then he just kind of, okay. And like, they went on about other things. And then so she applied for the short-term disability, and then, turn it in, whatever. She's working like a horse, and then all of a sudden she gets a notification that, like, this was like this past week, that her benefits have been approved, and she started her time off on November 1st.
Mm.
And then so she was just going ahead and keep on working for another week because she wanted to
hmm
tie some things up,
Yep.
and you tie some things up, right? And her friend was like, no, you asked for this 3 months off. You
Yes.
asked for this gift. It's not your business to run, first of all. Yeah,
Yep.
yes, it's your paycheck, but it's not your business.
hmm
Also, like, you asked for this. How do you accept it? Why are you accepting it? And she's like, that really hit me hard, because I'm like, okay, it's like that whole don't, kick a gift horse in the mouth, right? Well, here's
Right.
your gift. Well, it's not what I wanted. Well, put it over here. I got it, and then you don't actually get to enjoy that gift. And how do you learn to accept the gifts that you're trying to bring into your life? When those good things happen, how do you do it? And she was like, you know what? That hit me hard. I sent the email, said, I'll see you all in January.
Yeah.
Send. Like, not tidying up, not cleaning up anybody else's messes, not setting up the world for success because, she's going to be out for 3 months.
Yep.
And so that was a whole other discussion. Once you've learned to be grateful, how do you accept the gifts that gratitude brings?
Yeah. Pause real quick. The reason why I appreciate who you are as a person is you understand the teacher never stops learning. And I so appreciate that because I'm constantly learning. Like, I just got 2 more books, about mediumship, development circle, taking a class. It's so important. I just want to say that I really, really appreciate that about you. So if you're not following her, because I know some people that follow me, if you're not following her, you need to give Lorinda a follow. She is an evidential psychic medium. She's a badass. She provides evidence. She leaves her ego out of it, and I adore her. I liked you instantaneously. Call it intuition. Call it I watched you for 3 seconds to figure out what you were about. But I do appreciate that. It's interesting you say that because as you were talking, I was thinking about how I asked for this life. Funny story. I didn't get a whole lot of reads or anything over the last, 10 years. And I kept being told over and over again that you will own your own business and it will be successful. Oh, like I get a read or two, maybe a year, maybe two. Every single time you will own your own business and it'll be successful for 10 years. And I just absolutely put that part in a box because I was so sick of hearing it. I'm not crafty. What the shit am I going to do? Like, I'm like going through the stupidity, crochet, knitting, painting. Like I'm sitting here going through this and she's like, and the last time was like, you don't understand, but you will see because you're in the process of understanding your own ego and how to put it aside. And I was like, what is up with this? I was drifting off to sleep about 2 months ago and going through some crap, kind of like what I was saying about like betrayal, all this stuff. And I'm like, and I heard it almost audibly like, do you remember all of those reads that we sent you that said you would own your own business? And it brought me to tears because I did not understand. And so that stopped me dead in my tracks because I asked for this. I asked to do this full time. I asked to stop working 78 hours a week, killing myself. I asked for it and I got it, and I was not being grateful for it because I was letting all the other BS and the noise and the negativity get in the way of that. And it stopped. I was like, holy
And
crap.
going back even further to our earlier conversation, what was the root cause of that? And I guarantee fear. The fear wolf was winning. You were feeding the fear. And so the fear of what if I'm making this up? What if this isn't right? What if I'm just the loser cousin that's not, that's got to show up to Thanksgiving one day and be like, well, I quit my job and I just do readings. Can I borrow $20? Like it's that fear of being that person. It's that fear and that drives us and keeps us from accepting the gifts that we were asking for.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool punk rock.
Cool punk rock. Cool man.
Hell yeah.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was so, things were so loud, and it was like literally taking all these tools and kind of looking at them and being like, okay. And not only feeding fear, but I'm a big person that plays, I talk a lot about it, but defense versus offense. So I teach. And so when I teach, like as far as intuition, you don't get to touch a tool. We do exercises to where you don't get to touch your cards. It's not about the damn cards or whatever. It's about the intuition part of it and having the faith that you can. So I'm watching people who have never, ever not read tarot tap in and amazed at what they can discover. And watching people discover what they're capable of is so unbelievably rewarding. And so I'm starting to think about this. And that I do, even admitting that I make an impact is hard for me to do. It's hard.
Because it's self-centered.
Hard. Yes.
It's self-centered to believe that.
Yes. So I had to be like, you're meant to do this. You're making a difference. Cringe, ooh. But like, you're making a difference. You have something to say. And even doing something like this is me pushing my limitations because I just kind of stay to myself and I'm like, no. So I asked for good people who are morally sound and I mean, oh, you want this?
Oh,
okay. Here you go.
Would you like it on a platter?
Like, here you go. And I'm like, oh crap, that's right. I asked for that. So, yeah, definitely. Like, what do you get when you actually get what it is that you asked for? Took me 10 to 12 years to get around to doing the damn thing. But now it's like, remember, you make your own schedule, just perspective. So you make your own schedule, bitch. So if you're so tired, then fix it. You can fix it. Just these silly things that go in my mind are obligation over, taking care of yourself. That's a big thing for me, but I'm working on it. Hey, Huggable Healer. Hey.
Hannah.
I like to call her the Huggable Healer. I know she's Hannah.
It's Hannah. We all know it's Hannah. Hannah. And you know what? That's another person I'm extremely, extremely grateful for is Hannah, because I was that lone wolf person, and I was like, I want to expand my reach. I want to get over. Honestly, the reason I started doing TikTok was to get over my fear of being on camera.
I love that.
I mean, that was, and then there were just so many things. And then Hannah just reached out one day and was like, hey, I saw your stuff and would you like to come online? I'm like, okay.
These people like us for us? What is up, Lorinda? Like
so,
for us.
And so now like I'm so thankful because I've been aligned with so many amazing people that have great hearts and great and they are also, I'm so grateful for them. And I feel like the more I truly understand how the positive impact, and even when things get uncomfortable, when things change, there was a point where things shifted and I was like, panic, things are shifting, things are bad, this is bad. What? They're all going to forget I exist. There's that trigger again. They're all going to forget. And then nobody loves me, I'm going to eat worms. Ugh. But I had to dig deep and go, wait a minute. That's dumb.
Yeah.
In those moments of clarity, by the way, in the moments of clarity, that's when you should deep dive. Not when, if you're in it down here, recognize it. Eat the ice cream.
Yes.
Wallow in it.
Yes.
Get it all out. And then when you're clear, when you have clarity, then you go, whew, that was, well, the ice cream was good. So how do I deal with that next time?
Yeah.
How do I deal with that next time? And that's when you have hard conversations with your family, not in the heat of the moment screaming. Again, thank you, Dr. Phil. Everything I learned from Dr. Phil. He was popular when my kids were babies. So
I get it. I get it. We're close in age. I totally get it.
Yeah. So he, I totally forgot where I was going with that, but you do the tough work.
Yep.
Upon reflection. Yes. Not when you're in it. When you're in it, allow yourself to feel it. Do not talk yourself out of feeling. And actually, you know what? To even take that moment to go back and go, I am so grateful for this really good cry right now because I know I'm releasing energy that is unnecessary.
Yes. Yep.
How do you, not toxic, like I'm so glad I'm crying because, not toxic in a toxic way, but understanding that be thankful for the fact that you have a way to release that energy.
Yep.
And, and then, and just stepping into that place of finding ways you can have gratitude. I'm telling you, Jen, I can't even explain to you the difference. I'll give you one example of, so like you see right here, we've got like 40 people in the room and that a month ago would have bothered me. That would have bothered me. Like nobody's watching me. And I'm like, we've got 40 people in the room. 40 people are going to improve their lives and pay it forward, I hope. Yeah. Even if they take one little nugget from this, even if it means they popped in, somebody said hi to them. They're like, oh, I was seen today.
Yes. And you can't control what hits somebody either, what they're going to get from something either. It may not even be what you think. It's the same thing. We're mediums. But let me ask you this. When you're in a session, it always amazes me the thing that hits. It's never what you think it's going to be. Like for me, it's never what you think is really going to hit. When I say hit, that's really going to be that moment of like, this is my person and I know it. And it's always not what you think that it's going to be. Like I've had blue Post-it notes, the Red Bull thing, hairy toes hit one time. What does that mean? She knew. Like, you never know. Going back to the emotions thing, feeling it out. One of my favorite sayings is, what you say is who you want to be. What you do is who you are. So with that,
I wrote that down today. You said that. I wrote that down, actually. You said that.
Yes.
I wrote it down. I'm like, ooh, that's good. Okay.
What you say is who you want to be. What you do is actually who you are. So we need to normalize feelings in general. So I've said it before. I think I might have said it on Hannah's live, is that you can feel angry. You can feel upset. You can feel rage. You can feel jealousy, all of those things. Okay. Those are things that you feel. Now, what you do with the emotion matters. So when Luke and I get into it, and he's on here, he can validate this. I will say, I am angry. This is why I'm angry. And it also debombs, instead of like, what, F you loser, I am angry and this is why I'm angry. Or, God, even the really ugly ones we don't want to talk about. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I've had
Yep.
literally some of the best friends I've met here off the TikTok. Literally just went and visited Lauren. So it's official. It's not just a TikTok relationship because I've seen her in person. And she said, I'm envious. She said it to me. Now, two-parter. I'm gonna have to tell her I share this. I know she's gonna be fine because I've asked her if I could use this example and she's given me permission before. So we're good there.
Mhm.
I'm envious. And I'm like, okay, now that's a two-parter. It's how I react to that. And it's her saying it, her having a trusted enough space. We need to normalize these things. Like, Lorinda, I'm jealous. You know what I mean? Like, I'm jealous because whatever. Your business seems to be taking, and my business is lagging, and I want to talk about this. But how you respond to that, that's creating a safe place for you to respond. We need to
Yes.
normalize, like it goes both ways. So when she said, I'm envious and I love you and I'm so happy for you and I don't want to feel this way. It was
That's
a
huge. First
beautiful,
of all, that's huge.
huge.
I'd have
Yes.
been like, okay. Do you want mine?
Yes. Say it 10 times. We need the reminders.
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
that's Luke. He's like, it is true. I am angry. I'm angry and I'm upset and I don't appreciate this. Now I'll have to walk away, and walking away is okay. Say the words though. I need a minute. I
Yes.
need a
It
minute to
is
gather
so,
myself
yeah.
because I'm upset. All these things need to be normalized. But my point to that is with the envy comment or jealousy or whatever, is it takes two parties. Like she was coming to me in a safe place, expecting me to be okay with her saying that. And then we had a wonderful conversation after that, or me saying, hey, I'm upset with you. And not only that, we're talking about the original subject. Say how you feel without positive, toxic positivity. Lorinda, I'm mad at you. I think overall you're a great person. Like, I don't want you to think that I don't think you're a great person, but I'm upset with you. You really hurt my feelings, but I love you. And I know that you meant well. That's also a form of toxic positivity
Yeah.
because you're trying to get all of that in there. It's like instead of obviously in a productive way saying how you feel, which is
Right. But
not good
also,
either.
that person you're telling that to, you have to feel safe enough
That's what I'm saying.
to be able to relay that
Yep.
information. If someone's coming at you and giving you 500 buffers prior to saying how they feel, you should probably check how you respond to people. Like, kind of
Yes.
check your own self. Like, ooh, but for years, people used to say I was unapproachable. Like
Oh
for
yeah.
years, I was unapproachable, and I was a hothead.
Yep.
I'm like, well, redheaded Leo, duh. Like, okay, and
Triple
um,
Capricorn. Hello.
but for when you have that friend who's willing to come to you and say, I'm really upset about this,
Hmm.
and they feel, and you hopefully have created enough of an emotional connection and safe space for them to be okay with that. Oh, Patty's here. Patty, did you want
Yes.
to come in? I actually invited Patty to come and do this with us. Patty, are you up for coming in? I don't want to just like pop you in
Patty.
without asking.
Love me some Patty.
I love me
That
some
sounds
Patty.
weird.
So Patty, if you want to come in, just like do a request. I'd love to have you
Do the
in the
thing.
chat and to do the thing. Um, and here she comes.
It's
It's
Patty.
Patty. Um, I'm kind of sad she
Hi,
ain't here to
Patty.
hear all this stuff. Hey, Patty.
I'm
So
late. Sorry.
that's okay. So here's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about gratitude and how it changes your vibration, and having gratitude for deep diving into trauma, even when we're triggered, and how we can turn that into something like addressing it, taking away its power, and being grateful for something to raise our own, grateful even for a bad situation. How can we be grateful for something without turning it into toxic positivity also? Like we don't want to do toxic positivity, but how do you take something and truly feel grateful for even just a negative situation?
Mhm.
You know, how we got Thanksgiving coming up. We're getting all kinds of people seeing, I'm seeing lots and lots and lots of videos where people are being triggered by having to come in and go get ready to go see family. And, you know, some of us, maybe it's the first year we've lost someone, you know, dealing with loss. Maybe it's just like abusers that we have to face again, you know, but how do we reconcile that with gratitude and heal ourselves and take care of ourselves through gratitude and helping to move on from that stuff? So that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts? Sorry, I
Well,
didn't mean to throw you the wolves there. We could talk
well,
more
you did.
first.
Yeah, throw me in the water here. Um, well, I do talk about a lot about gratitude and grief.
Yes.
I always talk a lot about gratitude and grief because we still can be in grief and have gratitude. We still can have gratitude in our life, no matter what we're dealing with. Um, and and I just had talked about triggers, and just the last couple days I had some triggers and some grief and dealing with that. I think that even in the midst of struggle and difficulty and emotion and uh, heartache, whatever that we're dealing with, there's always gratitude. There can always be both in our life. Um, no matter, it's a matter of how we look at things. I think it's a matter of mindset. Um, you know, but it depends on where each individual comes from and how they see things. Uh, so, you know, I really do. I think that it's where each individual is at in their own life. But for me, I have had situations that, where there has been a lot of pain at times where it's sometimes difficult to see gratitude. Sometimes it has been difficult to see it.
And
Like
that's
how can I be grateful when my child's gone? I've been this deep rooted pain in my life where I feel like my whole life is shattered, and I'm so numb. How can I see any gratitude in that?
right.
And I have to give grace to that moment in my life.
Yes.
Um, I have to give grace to that. And so, but that's part of grief. And that's part of where we talk about the grief process is, in that place, it's okay to be where you're at. And if there is nothing that you see that you're grateful for at that moment, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay
Yes.
to just be where you're at. Um, uh, some days I'm not feeling like I have a lot to be grateful for at that present moment. Uh, and in all due respect, sometimes I'm angry about some things, and healthy anger is good. Healthy anger is very good. Healthy anger is energy in motion. It moves us to another place, and it pushes us forward. And so, sometimes people say, "Oh, anger isn't good." I'm sorry, I disagree. Anger is good. It's
It is good.
healthy.
Yep.
When it's healthy, it pushes us out of a place of being stagnant, and it pushes us to see something that it just moves us forward in our life. Um, so to me, you know, if you're in a place of emotion where you're not feeling grateful, it's okay sometimes. It's not, you
Yes.
don't have to be grateful for everything. We don't always have to be happy all the time. Yesterday I was absolutely fucking miserable. Sorry for my F word, but I was. I was sad. I was upset. My poor grandchild didn't have her mother to take care of her. Uh, Today, I'm not so bad. I'm okay today. I think that's why I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on this. I was very, very much in a place. Should I have put that video up? Should I have not? Should I have put that video up? Should I have not? And I thought, I'm going to put that video
Yeah.
up. And then today I made another video, and I wish TikTok would have pushed that video out that showed that it's okay to be in that place. And then I wanted people to see that, uh, you know, it, that where I was today, that I moved through those emotions, that I moved through that pain into a different place. And, I wasn't happy yesterday. I was very upset yesterday. And it's normal.
Yes.
It's very normal. It's absolutely normal when we're dealing with anything. Even if I wasn't dealing with grief, if we're dealing with anything in our life and we're having a difficult time, it's normal to move through emotion. And sometimes we don't have to feel grateful for everything in our life. Um, but there is an underlying sense of gratitude some, for a lot in my life, even when I do move through emotion.
Mhm.
I have to say there is. I do have a sense of gratitude for much in my life. So,
Yeah, and right before
um,
you came in, we were talking about that, how you don't, it's not when you're in the emotion, when you're experiencing the emotion, that's not the time to go, oh, but I should be grateful. Not the time.
Yeah.
That is the time that you allow yourself to
Hmm.
get the Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Like, you move through that. And I will say, I have had a number of times where I've done readings where spirit will channel through, like inspirational speaking, and say, please tell her or him to fully grieve, go through every single step, and don't ever be ashamed of it. And every time you feel something, feel it. Feel it to the
mhm,
hundredth, like you feel it, because that's the only way you're going to get through it. And when you're done, you're going to help people. That has come,
yeah.
Yes.
that has come through. But if you don't go through the grief process, if you don't sit in it, if you don't marinate in it and like allow yourself to feel it, you won't go on to the next stage. And it's okay if you go to the next stage and come back and revisit, you know, all the stages of grief. But those are not the moments, honestly, that you sit down while you're wallowing and being and trying to be grateful for that terrible situation. And that's what actually triggered me to even have this whole discussion,
Mm,
was having to have that spirit through that question when I was in the middle of a class, that how do you reconcile? How do we reconcile um, and be grateful for all that trauma? How do we do that?
mm.
How do we do that effectively and health in a healthy way? And I'm so glad that you came on here, having not even heard that we were talking about this, like what we were talking about is that we had just said, sit in the feelings,
Hmm.
feel them, get through them. And I've had spirit say that so many times to grieving people.
Mhm.
And I'm
Well,
glad you posted that video, Patty. I didn't mean
I
to
am
interrupt you, but
too.
I am so glad that you posted that video because
Girl,
it
I cried
hit.
with you.
And there isn't enough of showing, just in general, of those difficult parts, because we put on the best parts of ourselves a lot on here. I had a video that was similar, that I'm not even wearing clothes. Like, I just had an episode of I have endometriosis, and it was so painful. I wasn't even wearing clothes. I had like a blanket, and that's so out of character for me to do. But it's videos like I literally thought of you in that moment. Like, you make a difference, and it has a spider web effect. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because your video made an impact on me to be more vulnerable with those moments and not put off the persona of like whatever, because it can be toxic positivity that comes at us too. And we accept and we feed off of it instead of saying this is the reality of it. And so
Mhm.
that inspired me to be like, I literally had a flash of you even before this video of you just putting your content. So what you do makes a difference. And then that video spawned some conversations with some people that messaged me, and that made a difference. And then they were vulnerable on their platforms. So what
Mhm.
you do matters. So thank you for that. And I
Yeah.
debated too. I'm like, I don't want to post this is like serious. But you
Mhm.
flashed, I'm like, Patty would do it. Patty would do it. I'm freaking doing it. So thank you. It does matter. So I'm glad that you
It
posted
does.
it. But go ahead.
It
I
does.
apologize.
No, I do feel that, well, I always talk about like triggers are where our healing comes. I think that our gratitude comes from our healing. So once we get to this place of, I never want to say like acceptance because we're always healing, we're always growing, we're always moving through our feelings because things come up constantly in our life. We're always growing, changing, all of that. But there's this level of this experience is changing me. This experience provided me something to grow from, and I feel very grateful for that. And when I say this, I'm going to say this that my child, and I know people sometimes will say, "Oh, I can't believe you're going to say this," but the loss of my child has provided me a sense of allowing others to live. And there's a level of gratitude that comes with that. I can help so many people from my suffering, from my pain and loss is going to come a lot of good. And there's a level of gratitude that comes with that. And I know a lot of people don't understand that, but I do. And that's because I'm doing healing work. My own healing work has nothing to do with anyone else, but my own healing. I'm going to save a lot of lives.
Mhm.
And that
You
there's
are.
this level of gratitude that comes with that. But that comes with the acceptance of my own work. And so when we do our own work and we can come to a place of acceptance of our work, our own work, there's a level of gratitude. That's where the level of gratitude comes. That's where that comes from. But that's our own, that's personal stuff. That's what you were talking about, Jen. That's the stuff. That's putting ourselves out there. That's being vulnerable. That's, our shadow work. That's whatever, however you want to put it, whatever you want to call it. But that's where our gratitude comes from. We all have our story. We all have a story to tell. We all have our own stuff, but that's where our gratitude comes from. It really truly does.
Yeah. I mean, that's a mic drop.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a mic drop moment.
I knew, like,
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you were able to be on here because I knew you'd like add a
Absolutely.
whole new level of things that I can't wrap my mind around sometimes. And I'm just so thankful for you. I'm thankful for you sharing your journey. And I know you and I have talked about it. We've been in chats together before, and and it's just I'm so thankful that you are in my journey as well. That we have
Mhm.
crossed paths. Um, so and had that's just one of the things that I'm grateful for. I'm not grateful for what happened to you, but I'm grateful that this brought us together. And
I'm grateful for all the people in my journey too. I'm grateful for that because I learned so much from so many different people. And, it's interesting because after I put that video out, and if you scroll through the comments, there are so many who said, me too. And when someone can say, me too, then you've done something right. You've done something right. Me too. I lost my child. I think there were a few women in there who said, I just lost my sister yesterday. I just lost someone last week. My child just passed away last month. And to me, that opens up a whole different dialogue of feeling grateful for what I have done to help someone else open up their story. And then it's not about me anymore. It's about someone else.
Right.
It's about someone else.
Yeah. Well,
I think
I'm
it's
thankful.
it's killer. It's just everything you're saying. It's like those moments. I mean, a year ago, I would have never put a video out. And it's not because I care what people think of me. It's the fact that it's being vulnerable with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, right? It's not like I'm putting it out there and my hesitation is, what are people going to think of me? It's a moment that's saying I am vulnerable to, like, it's okay to be vulnerable with myself and be in this moment for a minute. And maybe it'll help somebody else. Like maybe this moment will help somebody else, as fragile as I feel right now. So yeah, it's powerful.
Well, and I think this goes back to
Very
the
powerful.
toxicity.
Hmm.
Especially in this, I put out a video a while back. It was quite a while ago. I was angry, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? Somebody came for me. Somebody was trying, and I was told I should take it down because I'm putting negativity out there. People are going to see me as negative, and I took it down. Now I'm looking back, going, what's wrong with me being angry about someone really, truly,
Mm-hmm.
like, truly talking, like saying terrible things, like on here when I'm doing nothing to hurt anybody, like
Hmm.
that I know of.
Right.
Um, but I was angry, but I wasn't like just venting and ranting. But I was told, you have to, if you're going to be here, you have to present a certain thing. And I'm like, okay, well, owning my own business really sucks because I'm not allowed to have emotions. I'm not allowed to express from only happy, positive things. But then, like, Patty, like, I literally, I think I just left it on for a good 5 minutes. Your TikTok, and I've just like sat there and cried.
Hmm.
I did. I mean, I sat and cried with you, for my situation, for your situation, for everything coming up. And I'm so thankful that you posted that because you gave other people the space and the permission to be vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
to show that we are humans on here.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We are human beings. As a matter of fact, especially as mediums, we feel a lot deeper than some people allow themselves to feel. We have to be in touch with so much.
Besides being a parent, I always say this is the hardest job that you will ever do because it causes you to have to face yourself every single day, like when you're doing the work,
Okay.
like every
Mm-hmm.
single day. Like you have to face, put aside, and ego integration, ego death, whatever you want to call it, you have to put you aside to do the work. And you have to be mentally and emotionally ready to be able to be at that high, sitting, meditating, sitting in the power, being able to tap into your higher self, put Jen aside to be able to do the work. And it is harder some days than not. And that's the part that people don't, we don't talk about, right? Like it's that part of like going through grief or going through what you're going through and the fact that you have to put it, you do, because it's not about you. One of the other most powerful things I've seen, you're talking about, you posted a video and you took it down because maybe it was a little bit too negative, um, is realizing once I was able to see, even if it wasn't a positive exchange or people had their preconceived notions or whatever about me, when I was able to put in the thought of seeing where they're coming from on their path, like where they're at emotionally with their trauma, then that was disarming for me. Not that I'm perfect or anything, but seeing that they're coming from a place of hurt and upset and they were triggered one way or another themselves and it wasn't maybe handled correctly, that was disarming for me of being able to show love and compassion, not acceptance. It's kind of like that do no, take no shit, but do no harm kind of, you don't, I'm not saying walk all over. I'm saying speaking my truth because how you respond defines you. What they're doing defines them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So standing up and saying, hey, that was really helpful to me of disarming a lot of the triggers for me of realizing that this is where they're at in their, it doesn't make them a terrible awful person. I'm not going to go off and call, it just means this is where they're at currently with their trauma or issues or problems or whatever, and it triggered them. And that disarmed a lot for me to be able to be more vulnerable with that thought process and acknowledge if I'm not saying I'm not looking at myself and saying, I've definitely made some mistakes myself, but acknowledging where somebody's coming from, intention is like my favorite thing to say. What is the intention? Like I think of that if I'm upset or, if Luke upsets me, my partner, or if a friend upsets me, what was their intent? Was it to be hurtful? Or was it an accident? Or was it coming from a place of hurt, themselves? What is the root of things? Because I always say, as a psychologist, baby, it's never about the damn dishes. It ain't ever about them damn dishes when you flip out. Okay, it's not about the laundry. It's so much more than that. You know what I mean? It's not about you being upset about no video. You upset with something else.
Right.
And realizing that.
I think we put too much pressure on ourselves.
Yes.
Too much
100%.
pressure on ourselves to be this, professional. We are professionals, don't get me wrong. We put too much pressure on us to have this expectation of holding this expectation of ourselves, in the public eye, per se. And, we're human too, and we deal with certain things, and we take our clients as far as we are emotionally, and we have to make sure that, people see us as human too. And I think that that's important. I think that's important that we're not this robot. We're not this like I'm better than you. And we meet people where they're at, in the work we do. And when I share my story, I am no different really than anyone else. And I'm dealing with grief, and people are going to know that. I'm not going to be this, I'm doing the work. I'm there coaching people. I'm there training people, and I'm going to pull away when I can't be available. And people are going to know that. And because I'm in my grief too. So I think it's important that we show people who we are, because when we are vulnerable with people and we show them who we are, that's when people feel more attracted to us. I really feel that. I've always worked from a place of that. And instead of the place of, I am this professional, this is who I am, this is what I do, and if you want to come to me, this is her, kind of, it kind of sets a wall to me. It sets a wall up. I'm not perfect. I'm not, this perfect person. I'm no different than you are, but I do have this ability and I do have this skill, and I'm happy to share it with you. I'm happy to help you through this, or I'm happy to walk you through this. And I think I think that's what probably been successful. It's being that real. But I know what that feeling is, because I feel it too at times, where I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't show people this side of me. Ooh, I'm, am I crossing a boundary too much? Am I putting too much of myself out there? Am I not putting too much out? And then other times I'm like, well, I'm in my grief. There's nothing more that I can do right now. If people don't like it, well, tough. I don't care. And And then this happens, and stuff comes out of it. I don't know why. I don't know why it happens like it does sometimes. And then I go to post a post like I post today, where like, this is holiday grief, and this is, these are things that happen, and I get nothing. I get shit off of that post. I wish it could be vice versa. People get the information off of there, but when I'm vulnerable, I draw in more people. It's kind of a little crazy. I was talking about that to another professional today. I was like, God, I wish more people could see the after effect too, to like get the information of how to take what happened yesterday and then get the tools. Get the
Yeah.
tools of how to deal with that.
But
Because I couldn't give.
even if they saw your video, the impact, it's like we all try to do that to control the outcome, like a little bit. And even with that video, if they followed you, and statistically they probably did, they're going to get that from you. You know what I mean? And it's just going to grow, even though they didn't see kind of the other part. Just watching you, you're authentic as fuck. That's my one F bomb. And it's for you, Patty. I've been so good. But they're going to see how authentic and be able to see how you get out of that and not controlling the outcome. You did it. I feel like you were supposed to do it. I know it hit a lot of people. And I watched it a couple of times because it was so genuine. So it's like from that moment, it's just going to grow, or most likely they followed you to be able to see the outcome or see how. And I guarantee you, they probably flipped through a couple more of your videos. I mean, you're authentic as all get out. You know how to meet yourself where you're at. Like I'm sitting there listening and my brain is in overdrive because I'm learning, because I'm always trying to learn about meeting yourself where you're at. And that's what you're saying. And this is what it is. This is how it is, and appreciating the value in that. We have to meet people where they're at, but a lot of people don't meet themselves. They don't, even in this work, they don't meet themselves where they're at. So I apologize for interrupting, but it's so, I've done that too. I'm like, they didn't see the actor. Like, I'm okay and I'm funny. I even went and did a video like, hey guys, I'm really okay. But I did that second video for me. And I know that because I was vulnerable and I didn't like it. So I did the follow-up video because I didn't like how that moment made me feel. And I can acknowledge that. Like, you didn't do that for anybody. You did that for you, girl, because you wanted to be like, no, really, I'm cool. Like, I'm fine. I still was not okay, Patty. What was I doing?
Well, and that that's a good point too, though. Like maybe the people that saw it yesterday are not going to see the one today because they're not ready. I fully believe. I have found on this path, people, especially when we're doing readings, and people will vibrationally align with us in just the right time. And I've had videos like I've had videos like blow up a week or two after I put them up. And
that's a very good point. And I think that goes back, Linda, to your point of gratitude. We can go round right back to what your topic is here, is that when people are ready for the feeling of gratitude around any situation, that's when they'll see it. Because
you have to be ready to receive. You have to be ready to receive, which is also what we were talking about too. How do you, when you ask for that healing, you have to be ready to receive that healing. You have to be ready to move into that space. And how do you accept that when it's ready? Not everybody's ready for the answers. When I would pick my kids up from school, my daughter they'd vent, and I'd be like, well, did you try this, this, and this? I'm very solution oriented, right? I had all the answers because they're 8 and I'm old. So then one day my daughter looked at me and she goes, has it ever occurred to you that maybe I don't really need the advice? I just need you to listen. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, it had not. So thank you for that. How can we establish that next time you want to vent, and I'm not sure, I'm just going to say, is this a venting moment or a listening moment? You tell me. And if it's listening, it's 10 and 2, baby, all the way home. And I will listen. You let me know when you want my interjection. And it was just, I forgot where I started with that or what I was doing with that, but Um,
Well, Holly said you're not
it
old,
was giving
so.
space. Well, it was
That means
giving
we'd all have to
space
be
for
old. She's right. It's rude.
my point was that with when she wasn't ready to receive the solutions,
Hmm.
she needed to feel the frustration. She needed to feel and wallow, do whatever she needed to do in that moment, and then she knew that at any point she could ask my opinion, but
Right.
she had to be ready to hear my opinion or my solution. And so, Patty, maybe your video's not doing that follow video is not doing great because the people that were there are a lot more miserable people that enjoy their misery, that are wallowing in their misery, and they're not quite ready for the solutions yet. So my prediction would be that video will slowly grow, and I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna. I've had videos that do that where they come up and people are like, "Oh wow!" And then they see, "Oh, there's the next one." Oh,
Well, to me, there are a lot of people that are in pain. There are a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of grief today. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of people who need healing. There's a lot of people that are suffering. And this to me speaks truly to if you did research on what had out of the two, is that's what people are looking for is the connection to the vulnerability. People are
yes,
looking for love. People are looking for that connection to somebody to show them what it is to be authentic, absolutely
Yes.
authentic, and to say it's okay
yeah, it's the
to
permission.
be authentic,
Yeah.
giving them permission. And if you like, I could not even go through, there was like 1,400 responses, and many of them to me, because I am okay with where I'm at in my journey, that many of them were not, for me per se, and I'm okay with that. Many of them were like, I lost my child too. Many of them were like, my sister died. A lot of them were not directed toward, I'm sorry, this happening to you. Many of them were for themselves. And so many of my responses were, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I'm sending you a lot of love. So I was responding to those type of comments because those people were seeking that support, that love, that nurturing that was needed for them. And so to me, that was powerful. That was absolutely powerful. Uh, that was powerful. As a grief coach and a healer, that to me was very powerful, like to look at.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you gave them a safe place to say that. You gave them, and your response to them was, "You are seen, you are heard."
Right.
And I
I
think a lot of
see.
people
Yeah.
when they allow themselves to be that vulnerable, they just want to be seen and heard.
And that's, I
They
think,
don't want
what
to
we're all
be
doing here.
ignored.
That's what we're all doing here. I mean, that's what we do. We give that to people. We help people. We want, we're helping people to heal in a way, in our own way. We do it in a different way, all of us. Um, all of us that work together here are doing things in a way to help people connect and to heal and find love and comfort in this struggle that we call life, and that's where we find gratitude. That's where
I
we find
think
some
it
gratitude.
absolutely. I think it provided a space too that you're not alone. Because that's the thing with grief hits you at the most. You could be at a grocery store. I remember when my mom passed and green onions had me breaking down in the grocery store, and you're thinking, nobody understands what I'm going through right now because I'm just crying over a thing of green onions. Obviously, it had significance, which it doesn't, that's not the point. And so when you see something like that, it makes you feel like I'm not crazy. My grief is okay. It's okay that I feel this way in the most obscure places and moments of time. And I think that's why you got a lot of me too. as well, as like, I'm not alone. That's what, when I hear like I lost my sister or I lost my child, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that within itself is extremely powerful. That's how I
Mhm.
felt. It's like, okay, like just how much it's going to provide to be able to help. And really good point, Lorinda. You're right. It's probably timing thing. They're not ready to see the other video. And I do believe that things happen like that for a reason for sure. But I think that's why you got a lot of Me Too is just that feeling that it's okay not to be effing okay. Like
Mhm.
it's okay not to be okay
So I have a
too.
question. So I have a question. And I've done some of this before. Do you think that you can, do you think that people can work on finding a place, work on their gratitude in their life? Do you think it's a possibility to work on gratitude, like to create more abundance and gratitude in their life? Do you think it's something that can be focused on? Do you think it's something that can be a mind shift? Do you think it's something that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It can.
okay.
And actually, so when we first started this, I was talking about the whole reason I did this conversation is because in my development class, uh, we had an assignment 2 weeks ago to deep dive and just be grateful every day to see what happens. See what happens. And so I was just happy to remember most days to actually consciously go, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I need to be grateful for something today. And it was amazing to me how often I'm not grateful in a moment, even though like I feel like I am. It was weird to actually like to consciously make the choice to do it every day. And
Mhm.
the amount, and I just kind of kept track, watched how things played out. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, we went back into class and she was like, how'd things go? And I had written down all these things. I'm like, I've had a mind blowing 2 weeks. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I've had a
Mhm.
mind. I had a video in that time get 1.7 million views,
Mhm.
and I had this influx of, and I know I'm not saying that that's because well I chose to be grateful, but I know that I had some very amazing and people come into my path suddenly. I had um, there were other like in my family, like there were things in my personal life outside of work
Mhm.
that were shifting. My friendships were shifting, and I noticed these things, but it took me a minute to reflect. I wasn't noticing them in real time. I
Mhm.
noticed them upon reflection, and even in one of my lives that I was doing, Holly, I was doing with Heal with Holly. We were like, we had 2,000 people in the room. 2,000.
That's
It was
crazy.
insane.
So
We
where do
weren't
you
even
think,
doing readings.
so let me
So
ask you this then. Where do you think your gratitude lies? Let me, the,
what do you mean?
just,
What do you mean where it lies?
where do you think it lies? Because you're saying that you focused on it every day
Hmm.
for 2 weeks.
I tried.
So
So I tried keeping the like energetically. I was trying to feel it physically and spiritually. Does that make
like
sense?
in the, because it really lies in the present. Our gratitude
Yes.
lies
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the present.
Not
And
not
that,
not in the past, but in those moments of
correct.
I'm really grateful. That's what I was telling you earlier. I was like, I'm really grateful, like in the morning for these socks. Like I was trying to be grateful in the moment for things and
That's
seeing
what our gratitude lies in the present.
yes. And so, like for me, it was raising
Mhm.
my vibration in those moments so then I could see a little
Mhm.
bit clearer. And I know that I was attracting better things. Now, I'm not saying that
Yes.
TikTok's the end all be all measure, but that was one of the many shifts I saw.
Mhm.
And and as I was each day practicing gratitude in that moment, even when I was
Mhm.
doing the deep dive for, asking the questions like, how do I reconcile right now? How can I be grateful right now in this moment? What's happening right now that I could look back on the trauma that I've had and go, you know what? I'm grateful for the lessons I learned because I am here right now in this moment, in this body, in the talking to whatever, doing whatever. I'm grateful for this because if it hadn't
Mhm.
happened that way, I would not be here where I am right now.
Yep.
So it's finding those
Like
moments.
gratitude is always about being in the present,
Yeah.
in the present. And so, and then that kind of trickles out around us. But I, that's why things around you were
Shifting.
changing.
Hmm.
And so I love that saying by Wayne Dyer, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Because when you're in that present moment, the gratitude around you changes because your mindset changes and you see things from a different lens or a different perspective. And uh, I always tell people when you're so we well, I always talk about the present. When you're in the future, you're in that place. When you're in the past, you're in the place. But when you come to that present moment, that's where your gratitude lies. Even when you're in the sense of grief or emotion or whatever, your gratitude always lies in that place. There's always something to be grateful for, whether it's the flowers on a tree, on a plant, or the trees, or the clouds in the sky. Even when you're sitting there crying that you're missing your loved one, there's something to look at or see or feel or smell to be grateful for. Something minor, little. There's always something little to be grateful for.
Hmm.
And so it's always in that present moment to see the gratitude in your life. And that's beautiful, Lorinda. I'm so happy that you had that experience. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to make it like, well, I was positive and I was grateful. So
It,
I got 1.7 million followers. Like, blah, blah, blah,
I
blah.
don't
No,
see it like that,
no,
Lorinda,
but
though. I
no, but
don't
I think
hear.
it's really important. I know you don't, but I think it's really important for people to understand it's that maybe in the chat that are not practicing developed mediums that are just listening to us like, how do I make my life better? How do I get these things? How do I align myself with these things? It's not necessarily
Hmm,
about
hmm.
it's
Alignment.
it's alignment.
Alignment.
And when you change
Alignment.
your vibration and you change, if you're listening to country music, well, first of all, I'm sorry, but second of all, you should change the station. If you don't want to listen to country music, then you have to physically change the dial to another frequency to get to the rock and roll station or the classic station, whatever it is you want to
Mhm.
listen to. You have to change the station. And practicing gratitude, I would say, because I'm looking at my experiment based on what my assignment is, my assignment. Um, these shifts and the changes that I saw inside my house, outside my house, in technology, like all the things was exponential. And it wasn't that I was just like, everything was coming true. I was getting the new house. No, 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 no. It's not about that. I was aligning with people that vibrated higher and I could feel it. I could feel the difference and I could see it in my readings and connecting with other people. And so it's
Mhm.
not about, it was me just raising my vibration, finding joy because gratitude is the mother of joy.
All right. Gratitude is the effing attitude.
It is. It is. It is. But I mean, I think it's just really
F and
important.
A, man.
But
F and
but
A
but
on
I think it's
that.
also important to remind people that just because you're being super thankful and practicing gratitude and manifesting, if you don't get the big house, it doesn't mean you have failed.
Yes.
But that's what that's why I always say, people say, I say you can find gratitude in grief. You can find gratitude in grief. Even when you're in your state of emotion, there's always something to be grateful for. And people think, oh, I can't. Well, yes, you can. There's like, you got up out of, listen, I got up out of bed, took a shower, and I ate, and I went back to bed, even in my and when I was in even okay, I'm gonna go back to this time when I first lost Sarah, and my counselor would call me and she'd say, what did you do today? I took a shower. Okay, well, that's one thing to be grateful for. I said, okay, I'm grateful for that. That was the first 2 months of my after my daughter passed. I was grateful for that. I took a shower. I took a shower, and I went back to bed. So you have to remember little tiny steps sometimes is okay. Is okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to you have grace for yourself sometimes. Sometimes it's the little things to be grateful for.
When I
Sometimes it's a
had,
matter of sometimes it's a matter of just, you
absolutely.
know, doing one little thing for yourself is and feeling grateful. If that's all you did today is have a meal and that was good enough, then that's good enough. Be good to yourself. I'm not really a big one to put a lot of pressure on yourself. If I'm not on TikTok for 3 days because I have to take care of myself. Last night I went to bed at 5:30. I got in bed with a bunch of books and I played on my iPad and woo-hoo, that's what I did last night because I was a little bit upset yesterday. So that's my taking care of myself. So sometimes you have to do that. And okay, well, that's how I did it. So everyone does it differently. You just have to give yourself a little grace sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gratitude and grace.
And yeah, grace. I mean, I think grace is a huge part of it, and with yourself as well as when you see other people having their moments. I think those times that we give ourselves grace and want grace for ourselves, it makes us a lot more mindful
Right.
of other people who may be going
Right.
through something or reacting. Maybe they react differently and we're like, oh my god, you should never act that way, as opposed to, wow, you must really be going through something. How can I help?
We put too much pressure on ourselves. And
Oh my
when someone
gosh,
can
yes.
say to you, it's okay.
Hmm.
It's
But
okay.
it's not just ourselves. I honestly believe, like society in general, especially
Oh yeah.
women,
Oh yes.
don't get me down that rabbit hole, but especially
Oh
women,
gosh.
if we have
Oh.
any emotions outward, we're just so emotional. Just hormonal. And no, no, we have emotions because we're here and human.
Mm-hmm.
We're human. And we're allowed to have emotions. It's not about whether we have them. Now, if you try to, if you're angry and you go like burn down your house, that's a bad choice. That's a bad choice. You're not going to get much grace for that. But if you're angry and you're trying to express it and say, I am angry, you're going to get some grace from
Hmm.
people. And I think as we go through our own issues, I think and I think, with age comes wisdom. We start recognizing in other people, wow, they must really be hurting.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Give
Yes.
them that grace. Give them that grace. When you see the rant on TikTok, wow, that give them that grace that something clearly triggered them, or because we've all been there, done that,
Empathy.
and we need to quit outwardly judging people
Yes.
who are
Empathy.
emotional.
When people judge people on TikTok in that way, that's just shit they haven't dealt with. I'm sorry, but when you get to that understanding, good or bad, and I'm not saying these are bad people who are triggered or good people, because, let's just get rid of that concept right now. But if they're triggered by something like that, oh my God, she's ranting, blah, blah, blah. One of the things like, with clients, especially on the psychology, which I still do, and I'm like, they're going on and on about something. I said, did that make you feel better? To point that out. Because you just spent 45 minutes.
See, I don't say that because I've learned to say to people that I just validate them.
That's what
Oh,
I'm saying. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm with
I'm
you. I
sorry.
don't either.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry you feel that way. You have
Hmm.
a right to your feelings. You
Yeah.
have a right to your feelings. I'm
Because you
sorry you
can see
feel
where
that
they're
way.
coming from, and you're not, your triggers
But
and
I
you know
don't
what it
tolerate
is.
disrespect. I won't
Yeah.
tolerate disrespect, but I
Right.
do allow people to have the right to their feelings always, always,
Hmm.
as long as it's respectful, always.
Agreed.
Because, you know, I think I'm not afraid of feelings, period, at all. I mean, I am not afraid because I know how to deal with emotion, but I mean, I will validate anyone's feelings on anything,
Yeah.
always. But I think it's important. Anger, frustration, any type of feelings, they can come at me with anything. Even if it's geared to me. If I've hurt their feelings and
Yes.
and it's done and I don't even know about it, please tell me. I will apologize because we make mistakes and sometimes we say something we
Yes.
don't even know we hurt someone's feelings. So please tell me all in all due respect. I'm very much take responsibility for my behavior. But
Yes.
if there's something that I trigger someone or something, I pretty much can tell that it's their own stuff, and I will validate those feelings. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, I hope that, whatever, I'm good with all that stuff. I've been down that
Mhm.
road so many times in my life. I'm very good with that. And all due respect, I've been on the other end of that too.
Yes.
I've been on the other end of that too.
Yeah.
I've been in class where I've been triggered, where I went back to being fourth grader, and I felt like I was, I couldn't do something, and a teacher shamed me. And, I've been on the other end too, where I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't, I've been triggered my old shit stuff too before. And,
Yeah.
I've had to look at old trauma again and stuff. So I'm very aware of all that. But yeah, I think it's important that we're aware of our feelings and validate that in others, and know what's ours, know what's yours, and know what someone else's is. Because when you can identify that, like, okay, wait, is this mine? Because sometimes
Mhm.
I have to ask myself, wait, is this mine? I'm not sure. Wait,
Yes.
I need to
All the
step back
time.
and go, wait a minute, maybe this isn't all mine. It might
Mhm.
not even be mine at all, but I'll just, "Hmm, I'm sorry." And when you say, I'm sorry you feel that way, you give that back to that other person. You give that feelings back to that other person. And then you don't take responsibility for those feelings, but you're validating that other person. So I think it's important that we learn healthy communication in terms of that too. But, as a society, we don't have that either. It's like, there's so much mean talk, and then we have these things that happen in our country where people get hurt, and then we have mental health issues, and it's sad. It's so sad. All this hurting and that's happening in our country. It's just so sad.
Mhm.
Yep, I
So
agree. And,
sad.
and I think the way we honestly going back to the whole topic of the night, gratitude,
Yes.
how do we use that as a tool to help get us through those stressful times, to get us through the the tough times? How do we use it in those moments of quiet to reconcile ourselves with the bad things, to help us move forward and be prepared the next time we're triggered? So I think it's um,
I think, Lorinda, there should be a lovely movement for gratitude through this holiday. I think you should do some
I'm
kind.
on it. I'm on it because
I
I've
She's
been
think
all over it.
journaling about it. I don't
I love
journal,
it.
but
I
Yeah.
love
I've been journaling about it, and it's just I don't know. It's just something
Lorinda
that's
should
really
do
moved
a
me.
gratitude movement.
Woo!
Patty, when you
Um,
said take a shower, what I was going to say is, before you came in, I was talking about the worst point of my life. You said shadow work or whatever, and my my whole thing is, you mean that part where you're just dying on the floor and you don't want to get up? Like, I'm not hip. I'm very Gen X vibes of like shadow work. Not that, it's whatever you call it. But I was thinking about the time where I got evicted. I found out that my man was cheating. All in one day. My dad had had a heart attack, and I found out I had cancer. The last was the call. And I remember I immediately went to therapy, and same thing. Like, what did you do? Longtime mentor, what did you do? And I'm like, I'm fucking at chemo, and I'm going to do chemo, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to get back in bed. Forget the shower. Like, I made it to chemo. Like, I cared about myself enough to get out of bed and do this. That's all I got. And they're like, okay, well, if that's all you got, it brought me back to that moment of, um, I'm like, I don't care. And I had a really, I have a really good psychologist and mentor. He's like, well, you cared enough. I was so mad at him. You cared enough to get up and go, didn't you? You cared enough to get up and go. And I'm like, hurtful, but true, but hurtful, but true. And that's all I had. And he's like, I just want you to acknowledge that, but it's okay if that's all you have. That's it. You went up and you went, and that's all I had. I didn't shower for 2 weeks. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a shower freak. forget the shower. Good job on you, Patty. Like I went to chemo and I came home and that's all I had. Forget the shower, greasy hair. Forget it's not cute. Changing my sheets, forget that. But I cared enough to go. And it made me think of that, of just being there in the moment and then slowly, and then man, then you just have time to think, right? You're slowly being, you're like, oh my God, this is too much time for me to think and sit in my literal filth, not to be gross, but like sitting there like, those are
What
powerful
smells bad?
moments. That was life-changing moments though for me to sit in
Mhm.
that and just be thankful enough, literally, that I cared enough about myself and my life to go. That's all I had, like to get up and go. So that was a moment of gratitude right there. And I was mad that I went. It's weird how that works, right? Like I'm mad that I care enough that I'm going to treatment, but I'm here and I can't, I can't miss it. But sometimes it works like that. I wasn't happy. I was angry with it. I was angry and I was processing anger and frustration and all this, but I cared enough to go. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you for
I
sharing
feel
that.
that.
Yeah, it's you take the wins where you can get them. Sometimes, you know. I appreciate you sharing that too. Like, so much. So, all right. So now that we have like done the deep dive, we've talked about all this. I'm all about, just like I do with my QHHT practice and like even in mediumship practice. I swear to you, I just saw a ghost walk by or like a spirit walk by. That was cool.
Probably. Yeah.
Or my husband's shadow. I don't know. I don't think anybody's down here. I think he's in bed. But how do we? What I'm all about next steps.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we empower ourselves going forward? Like yeah, we always do intuitive exercises. How do we develop our mediumship? All this. How do we now go forward in between now and even just Thanksgiving or now and tomorrow? What are some steps, some ideas for people that we can put this into practice in practical ways? Like some people journal. I do not. I don't typically, but I have been, which is weird.
That's cool.
What are some things that people can do to practice gratitude in the moment? Practice gratitude in the moment, being thankful for the moment they're in because of trauma they went through, acknowledging that they wouldn't, or like, for example, like I wouldn't be here in this place if I hadn't done this. How do you be thankful for that? And what can they do? Like, what are some ideas that you guys have? Like, so somebody says have to journal. Some people journal. What do you all do? Like those of you that are in the chat, some people pray. Just take time to pray and meditate. For me, like I actually, you know what? I did this for a long, long time. I used to remember to do protection every day, not realizing I could just have the conversation once with my guides and be done with it. But protection every day, like yes. I would set an alarm on my phone, and every day at 8 o'clock, it would say the thing that I was like, the thing. I ask you to protect me against any, from negativity or I surround myself in the white light of healing and protection, whatever. And so that would come up, I'd read it, and that was a cool thing.
That was
awesome.
That was really cool.
Totally, what the fuck was I just talking about?
We want practical things where we can get on the gratitude bus with Lorinda and help her with the movement. What are some things that we can do? So in the chat, feel free. Go for it, Patty.
I have something that I use with clients for gratitude. So I'm a very, very big Post-it girl, very big, and I'm very big on the brain. So as we know with the brain, if you see something, and you see it on a repetitive basis, it anchors into the brain, but you have to see it repetitively. So if you take Post-its and you write on Post-its, I have clients write on Post-its on a regular basis, usually daily in the morning, something that they are grateful for, and have it to be very specific. As you get up in the morning, write it on a post-it, and you post it where it is that you can see it. So either in the bathroom or on a refrigerator, somewhere where that you spend a lot of time. And make sure that you use like colored markers or colors that are bright, because the eye sees
Hmm.
things that are color. It's drawn to things that are color. So you want to make sure that, you're using something that your eye is drawn to. And so be very specific when you're writing those gratitude things on post-its, and post those on a daily basis. That we say like 30 days. So you want to have 30 post-its. Well, if you look in front of my desk right here, I have post-its that are posted. So I have things that are really critically important to me. So I have grow. I have things that are things like grow, create happy life, live my best life. I have increase my energy. I live by water because I love water. I have things like let go, you are worthy, things like that. Hope and love. So I have a lot of different kinds of my whole freaking walls and post-its, by the way. They're pink and blue and different colors. And so having those in front of you to see them on a regular basis reprograms the mind, because it takes 30 days to reprogram your brain. And so by putting those and neon colors, yes, neon colors are good. Putting gratitude messages in front of your brain helps to reprogram. So finding that you're feeling this gratitude helps to reprogram you when you're looking at them. But having those post-its posted somewhere that you can read them on a regular basis is the way that I work with my clients with gratitude, to help reprogram their brain. So that's just one of the ways that we do them as well. And then some of the other things are, journaling, music, meditation. But I really think that the post-its has been very successful with some of my clients. So
Yeah. My problem is I can never find the post-its when I need them. So like, it's just
well,
that's
you
just how
put
I
them
roll.
where your space is. So if you
Right,
have
right.
an office space or put them in your bathroom, you post them up so that you're looking at them on a regular basis.
I
So
had a
like,
post-it note in my mirror, bright purple, that says, "You don't have cancer, bitch." like that was like when
I
I went
love
into,
it.
remission. Like, you
love
don't,
it,
and I had it
love it.
until it, finally fell off, and I didn't realize how much I appreciated the post-it. So I repost the post-it,
Good.
and then
Good.
after two
Or you
years,
could get
you're
my
cancer free.
affirmation cards. They'll do the
There you
same
go.
freaking thing.
So
I
it's
know.
like, it doesn't have to be. So my point to that was, to what you're saying is, it's for you. So it doesn't
Absolutely
have to be. That was it for me. You don't have cancer, bitch. And then a smiley face, like, be grateful for this. You're in remission,
correct.
and going. Like, you almost didn't even want to go. So that was a huge accomplishment for me,
You're right.
I love the post-it, but yeah, that just made me laugh. And for like 2 years, it was on there. And then it was like, "You're cancer free." Like, and then I just switched it. Like, "You're not in remission. Now you're cancer free." I think
Right.
that's good. I think where Lorinda, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you're going with it is, I'm not a huge, like, I remember that, but I'm not a huge post-it person either. I think it's a phenomenal idea, and I think I may do that. And I do have them bright highlighters, baby. And I do, of course, have post-its. I think for me, it's just slowing down and acknowledging it being a thought. Like the socks, I know it's such a simplistic example, Lorinda, but it's such a big one. Like, my son came into my room and he's like, look, big, thick Slytherin socks that I got him for Christmas. And he's like, "Look, I
Mm.
found my socks." I'm like, hello, mind blown. He's so excited about his socks, his big, thick socks. He's like, "Mom, I'm wearing those big socks. I didn't know where they were." And I'm like, so thankful. And I thought, wow, just stopping to acknowledge that out of the mouth of babes,
Mm.
right? And so
Yeah.
for me, it's like, like today, I made absolute cheater mom sloppy joes from the can, right? But I had not made dinner for my family in a long time. And so my gratitude was, because I haven't been feeling well, was that I got up and I'm like, oh, this is just stupid sloppy joes. Like, because I love to cook. I love from scratch, fresh herbs. And I'm like, you know what? I am so thankful that I can do this. And that I'm making a meal for my family. A simple air fryer with the French fries ain't nothing fancy, you know? But it felt so good to plate and to give that to them because I haven't done that in months. And I was so thankful that I got to do that tonight before Luke had to work and whatnot. And, I don't know. So for me, it's in the moment, acknowledging and remembering in the moment to be like, first of all, we ain't doing that today, is literally what I said. It's sloppy joes, but you're making a dinner for your family, and that matters. So for me, it's acknowledging in the moment. It's taken me a really long time to get there. So yeah.
So I think for me, like I said, I know what I was talking about. Putting an alarm in my phone. So if I haven't done anything grateful that day, I at least have the alarm in my phone to be like, to come up at a certain time every day and just be like, take a moment to be grateful, or just asking, what are you grateful for? And I'll get that alert on my phone. What are you grateful for? Oh, okay. In the moment, oh, that thing is cool.
Yeah, that one is
that cool. Was awesome. I've never seen that one. Thank you very much.
Love that.
So in that moment, it draws my attention to whatever I'm doing right then, that I can be thankful for one thing. If I'm driving, thankful that I have wheels. If I, just those little things that help raise our vibration, and then also set an alarm to be grateful for someone else around you.
Yes.
Because that goes back to what we talked about. Activated gratitude. If you are giving the gift of gratitude to somebody else, saying thank you. So for me, I'm saying, thank you to the YouTube, because thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in and having these conversations, bring a level of knowledge that I don't have, that I think you guys, I'm just so thankful for that. Like, my soul feels thankful for that. And I'm thankful to the people that have come in here. And in those moments, I can take those moments just to say to you and give you that gratitude. Then maybe at some point you've raised your vibration, or I've helped to raise your vibration, and you give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it creates a nice ripple effect. And it's activated gratitude. Just activating that gratitude for yourself. Absolutely. And making a point to, in that moment, thank someone else, or just let them know that they're appreciated, even just for existing and being nice. So do you ever feel like, just like, if you're I don't go to the grocery, who are we kidding? Going places, and like someone's just not a jerk, and you just want to be like, thank you for being nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for not being a jerk. You could have been a total jerk about whatever. Just making sure.
Yeah. So I'm a big pave it forward for other people. I'm a very big person for that. Like the other day, I paid for some elderly lady's groceries that were behind me, and it was only like milk and bread and cheese and something. I think that, there's something that's to be said about, especially around the holidays, gratitude comes from helping others. And so if you're in a place of struggle or feeling of this, I'm going to say this from my perspective, I don't care from others, feeling of because I've been here before, so I will say this from my place of feeling sorry for myself, or feeling self-pity, or feeling whatever. Sometimes if I can get out of myself and go do something for someone else, it helps me to find a sense of gratitude in my life. Whether that's to help at, even if it's just to do something, even if it's just to buy a cup of coffee for someone, if I go get myself a cup of coffee, or if it's just to even say something to someone nice, like Lorenda said, to be nice to someone in a store. or just to maybe even stop somewhere at a nonprofit and do something nice for someone. I don't know, but sometimes just getting out of myself and doing something nice for someone else can bring me back to that centered place of gratitude. Um, it has helped quite a bit, especially now around the holidays when people struggle
Yes.
with feelings of that, like feeling sorry for themselves or feeling that place of guilt or sad, overwhelming sense of sadness or loneliness or whatever is happening, that it really can help find you can get out of that by doing something for someone else. So I
I
wanted to.
was absolutely, I was leaving IHOP last Tuesday, and all my friends that are gift palming you now, they were trying to distract me by, oh, you look so hot. Oh, you look so, and they were like, she's going to crack. She's going to laugh. I've got some great friends in here. But I was leaving IHOP and I was actually talking to them, and there was this person who was in the foyer of IHOP because every Tuesday, Luke and I go to IHOP. I have a full day's work and then I go to Live and then we go to IHOP. And there was this person laying, to your point about being gratitude, like having gratitude in the moment, and obviously intoxicated, sleeping on the bench. And I just turned around and she was out, and I went to the waitress. I go there because the waitress has incredible energy. It's um such a divine thing, like that we met this lady who looks forward to us, and it's a good place to decompress with this lady at IHOP, and she's there every Tuesday and Thursday. So I went in there and we were leaving, and I said, "Can you just give her whatever?" Like, and we were sitting there brainstorming, like, what would she like? What do you think would be good? Let's get her some orange juice, water, and just saying, don't. She doesn't need to know where it's from, and just leaving. Because I love doing that too, and it put me in a moment of gratitude, and I was homeless for a year. You know what I mean? So it's like you remember what that moment is like and having that gratitude. And also still, I had a moment of kindness that changed my perspective. You don't know what you do. It's not just a meal. And that's not why I did it. She was obviously cold, and I love to give too. And it took me to a place, to your point, of gratitude, of
Mhm.
being thankful that I'm not there. And it's okay for me to be grateful that I'm not there and to be able to help too, acknowledging that that's
Mhm.
okay. But yeah, that was just, and I just went about from there. Yeah, because they were on the phone with me when I did it. So like, yep, she did. But not only that, it touched the people I was on the phone. There was like this ripple effect,
Yes.
and
It's
I didn't
activating
even think,
gratitude.
yes, I didn't even
Yes.
think about how it affected somebody, and like something that
Mhm.
this person, a friend of mine that had been struggling with in their mind to come to terms with, she said, when you did that, it changed something in me. It's crazy because I was
Mhm.
on the phone and I didn't stop there and say like, so blah, blah. We just kept on talking. I did it. I'm like, hang on for a second. Let me talk to this waitress, blah, blah, blah. Did it. I'm like, right back on the topic of whatever we were discussing at the time. And she let me know I've been thinking about that. And that changed my perspective on things. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know that your mind connected it in the way that it did. Because it didn't have to make sense to me. I'm
No.
like, I don't know how that reason that, how your mind got there, but you just never know. I was like, wow, really? So
Mhm.
it's crazy how things work. And it was a sense of, hey, I've been there. This person needs something to eat, and that's it. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm not there anymore.
Yeah,
So yeah.
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 I love it.
I love all
Activate.
these ideas. I love the ideas.
Yeah.
Activated gratitude. Putting it out there. I love it.
Mhm. Love
Um,
it.
there's something else. I thought I saw something else in my notes that I wanted to touch base on. Hmm.
Yeah, she's got that 333. She sure does.
I
They
know.
keep
I
talking
love
about
that.
how you're 333. So
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I just noticed that.
Yep. I love that. Um, well, I can't remember what it was now. Um,
I love this topic, Lorinda. I think it's
yes, thank
probably
you.
a really great topic you picked
thank
to,
you.
to discuss.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's really not talked about enough.
Well, and I think too, I see these superficial things on other social media platforms. Okay, so many days of gratefulness, and like it's more for the public, like, look at me, I'm so grateful. And I'm like, that's so fake.
Superficial.
and
Superficial.
and like, I'm so grateful for I mean, I don't know, and maybe it's not, I shouldn't be judging. um
I
but I
understand what
am.
I think we get you
But you see, like, it
for
feels
sure.
like it's
Yep.
it's when I'm grateful for things, I'm not like, making the list because it's November and that's what we're supposed to do for Thanksgiving. That's not, and that's not. I just feel like talking about gratitude and toxic positivity and all. I see. Yeah, somebody else said toxic, can't stand toxic positivity. Um, and I thought,
Right.
it's just so important for us to.
And where is the gratitude just in the very simple things in life? It's not so,
Mhm.
we don't have to be so grand about this
No.
big old gratitude things in our life when sometimes it's so simple. It's
Yes.
Sometimes it's,
very simple.
I'm sitting in my grandma's chair. I'm grateful that I got my grandma's chair when she passed. Like,
Sometimes I'm
I sit
grateful I
there
could
and
put my pajamas on and just get in my blankets and snuggle on the
Mhm.
couch with my dog.
But
I'm
also,
wearing
I
a
would like to
muumuu right
point out,
now, straight up. I'm thankful for
yeah,
that.
I'm
Can't wear
thankful.
that to a traditional job. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. So I mean,
Mine's
like, there
fun.
are things that you can do.
Oh, there you go. She says, being grateful just to wake up.
Yes. So people say, "How are
Yes.
Yes.
you today?"
Yes,
I'm like,
Jenny.
"Well, any day above ground is a good day," is what my grandpa used to say.
So did my grandpa. I
Yeah,
mean,
any day
where
above
the,
ground is a good day.
let me tell you, I pull out of my house every single day and I look at my house and I go, God, I'm so grateful I have a house. Every single day. Now it comes out of my mouth and it goes in my ear and out, and I forget about it every day, but I look at my house and I go, God, I'm grateful I got a house. I am.
When we
I'm
when we
grateful
first
I got a
moved,
house.
yeah. Well, when we
I'm
first moved
grateful.
to this really night, when my husband and I got married, I remember standing. I'd never lived in a house before.
Oh, look who's here.
Like,
Mr.
so I
Heaven.
just,
He loved me some gratitude.
oh, hey Cody. So but I remember pulling into this neighborhood thinking, first of all, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, this is too much. But then I was like, I remember thinking to myself, no, I said it actually out loud. Please never, ever, ever let me take this for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Let me feel this gratefulness the rest of my life. And I don't remember things from sentence to sentence. I don't remember things, but that was probably 15 years ago. And I still remember having that overwhelming feeling of, please don't ever, ever let me take this for granted. I don't want this to be the norm. I want myself, I want to set that standard for myself that every time I pull into this neighborhood, that I am grateful that I'm here, because that's not where I started. Definitely
Right.
not where I started. And just being thankful for that. And just those little things, Um, and I'm grateful for every person that's taken the time to come into this live and talk and give their comments and share. And
Literally,
I
what
even
just for example, like my friends, a lot of my friends here who are active on TikTok, I'm seeing the messages about how they needed to hear this and how they were looking for a sign, and how, like, I'm sitting there watching these comments come across, and I hope they don't mind me sharing that. I'm not getting specific, but just how they were looking for something like this and how they needed this tonight
Mm-hmm.
and it's
across
important
as
as we
y'all are
go into.
talking.
Yeah, we're watching, but like, I feel like, on Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
how many of us are going to have to either be around family that we don't want to be around, or how many of us don't have the family to be around anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And where do you find those moments? How do you find gratitude in those moments to help shift your thinking and shift those negative thought patterns? It's like, again, we talked earlier about how it's okay to feel
Mm-hmm.
the feelings. It's okay to be sad about things or be angry about things, but then how do you turn those moments around so you don't
Sit in
just
it.
exist in those and sit in those for the whole day and to let it ruin your day? But how do you find the gratitude? How do you make that mind shift? How do you do that? And it's going to be a different answer for literally every single human being, because we're
Mhm.
all at different places in our journeys. We're all in different places, different places in how we
Right.
deal with things and how we
Mhm.
function. and
Mhm.
and there is no wrong way.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And really, it is a mind shift. It is a
Hmm.
Mhm.
mind shift. It is a
It is.
shift of the thought. It is a
And there's
shift
no
of the
right or
mind.
wrong way to do it. There's no
Correct.
right or wrong way to do it. I think
Correct.
that's so important.
Exactly.
And there's no failing at it. Please understand. This is where I wanted to bring you guys in. I was like, please help me make sure that I don't say anything that could be,
Toxic.
toxic.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
Hmm.
you can do this. You can change your mindset. You can change your physical environment. You can change your spiritual vibration. But just because you're wishing for the house and you feel like you should have the house doesn't, and you don't get the house, doesn't mean you failed. If you have feelings and you're still sad, even though you're grateful, you're not failing.
Hmm.
Correct.
You
Correct.
are doing, you are, what you're succeeding at is you are making the effort to consciously shift your mindset and shift into a better place.
Hmm.
Yes.
By the way, I just channeled that. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out what I just said. That was not me.
I mean, it was good. It
Awesome.
was good shit.
Well, I think it's really just about you're right where you need to be. You're
Yes.
right where
Yes.
you need to be. And you're never
Yes.
failing at anything. We're never failing at anything. We're
No.
always doing the best that we can. And,
Mm-hmm.
we're finding ourselves, we're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
our gratitude comes from our thoughts, our feelings,
Hmm.
in that process.
Mm-hmm.
You said it exactly in that way. We're not failing.
I
We're
thought
We're
of
not,
you,
not.
Lauren, as soon as she said that, and then there it is.
right.
Yep.
You're not failing. We're not failing.
Yeah.
You
It
did. You
was
did say
Not
said
that.
failing.
beautifully. It was said beautifully. It
It
was said
was.
beautifully.
But I have to run, ladies. Lorinda, thank you so much. Patty, I adore you. And Lorinda, thank you so much for
Oh,
allowing me to um,
I love you
Yeah.
both.
be a
Thank
part of
you.
this. Y'all are amazing. So thank you for hitting me up. And I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see.
Yeah,
I think it's
this
so
is a great.
important, good timing with the holidays, with you doing this. So thank you sincerely for letting me be a part of it. I
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you so
Jen.
much.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye,
Bye,
Patty.
Jen.
Bye, ladies. Y'all rock. I don't know how to get at it. I'm gonna let you boop me out. I don't know how to boop.
Do I know
Try
how
to
to
be
do
more
that?
social. I haven't learned yet.
I don't know how to do that. Hold on. Guests. Oh,
I
check
can't
it
stand
out.
up. I'm
But
watching a moo like
I got
I
it.
can't stand up.
I did it.
She's
I'm so
gone.
great. I'm so grateful for knowing how to do that now.
I'm not very good at booping out people either. So,
But I was like, wait, I'm tapping the screen and it's not working. But yeah,
oh,
I figured it out. But no, I do appreciate. I don't want to keep you too long because I
okay.
know it's a late night. But yeah, see, it's the
Yeah,
wins. It's the little wins. I'm telling you, grateful for those little wins.
yeah.
Um,
This is a great topic, Lorinda. I think that this is something that you could even carry on and do like
I think I'm
more,
gonna
like
try. Yeah,
even.
I think I'm gonna try to do that because I've got like I've just every time I sit down to do even a reading, I have more thoughts come, and
Hmm.
and I know I'm channeling my spirit guides. I know I'm like channeling. It's inspirational writing because it's like still my thoughts, but not really.
Hmm.
Like I'm seriously, I don't remember what I just said a little bit ago. Spirit does that sometimes, and I knew
Hmm.
it was going to happen because I was shaking and buzzing a little bit,
Hmm.
and so I was like, I'm gonna have to go back and see what I said because I feel like it was probably great, but it was just coming out. But
Yeah,
I love when that happens because it's usually
yeah,
unexpected.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I should have listened clearer, but I know it was something that you're not failing. You're not failing. Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and listen
I'll
to
have to go
your
back and look
exact
at it.
words. But
But
it,
it's true. Like
it
just
was
because
good.
we're not failing at life if we're in a bad place necessarily. And you're not
Right.
failing if as long as you're being having those moments of gratefulness and gratitude, you're going to find the win and it's going to ultimately raise your vibration.
Correct. Correct.
You know, even if it's like petting your dog and going, wow, I'm so grateful this dog is so soft right now because I just needed this,
Correct.
you know?
And I think that that's where it's important. It's just finding those little things. It's those little things. And
Yeah.
we miss the little things. And we talk about that even in our mediumship. We talk about that, or in our psychic abilities. We talk about it's the little things. We
Mhm.
help people, tell people, it's the little things in life. Even our loved ones come through and we share messages, it's the little things.
Yeah.
It's the evidence. It's the little things that we share with them to validate life beyond, right?
Yep. That's our
So
job, right?
that's our job. So, it's the little things in life that validate the importance of gratitude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
And
miss
it's
that.
so easy as humans, especially to, like I was really down on myself earlier today. I had a reading that I had done. I did a do over because I was so tired when I did the reading before, and I couldn't get the message that the sitter was hoping for. And I went back and looked at my notes, and it was a pretty awesome reading. But I still I said, you know what, I don't think I'm on my A game. Let's reschedule this. And I did a second full reading for her. And the one thing she wanted, I couldn't get. And but there's a notebook full of evidence that came through. And you know what I focused on? The one thing I didn't get.
Mm,
And so you know why? Oh, okay. So now spirit wants to be like, do you get it? You get it? You got to live this. You have to, you can't just say it and you got to live it. That I have to focus on being grateful for the 500 things that came through, but then also be grateful for that no, the thing that didn't land, that didn't come through, because more than likely she wasn't ready to hear that in
mhm. Of
actuality,
course, of course,
or maybe it just wasn't time for that. I'm grateful that spirit interceded
of
for that.
course. It
You
always happens that way. Always happens that
Yeah,
way.
but I'm like, and so I'm trying right now in this present moment to look back and go, I'm so grateful that spirit came through. So it came through even stronger this week than last week with her. That spirit came through. I'm just so thankful because I know she's going to find healing in that.
Hmm.
And that even though I didn't say the exact thing she wanted, I know spirit's got her back and is going to help her with that anyway.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
grateful for that. I'm grateful that she and I crossed paths, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to kind of show her that even us mediums have off days, but a good a good person's going to try to do a do-over. um,
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
it's just those little things that
Hmm.
you got to focus on what good came from a situation, even if it sucks,
No,
even if
we
the
have them
situation
all.
sucks.
Lots of things happen in our life, and we just have to find the goodness in
Hmm. Well, and
things.
I know.
You know?
Okay, so another good example. The situation. My daughter. We don't. I haven't seen her in 3 years. Um, we have hosted Thanksgiving probably 15 years now. I host. I don't leave. I pride myself on that. And a bunch of things shifted and changed, and now I'm not hosting on Thanksgiving. I'm hosting Saturday, but I'm not hosting on Thanksgiving. And then I'm like, all these floods of emotions and then going tapping like the energy with my not, and so I had to shift my mindset and I had to write down. I had to actually physically write it down so it would become real, that I'm so thankful that on Thursday I'm not hosting, but I get to go. We were invited to somebody else's house, and I get to go play with their dog, and I get to go. I don't have to cook that day for the first time
Mm-hmm.
in 15 years. So I'm thankful for that instead of focusing on, I can't believe I'm not going to have my family. I can't believe I'm not going to be able to do the things. Nobody loves me. I want to go eat worms. The whole, I could have gone down
Right.
that rabbit hole, but instead I'm like, I get to go to so and so's house. They're going to cook. I get to just show up and play with their dog.
Right.
And
Right.
then on Saturday, other family's going to come over and also get to do the thing. So,
Right.
okay. So it was just really changing that thought pattern
Yeah.
instead of
And
going
it
down that
makes a
negative.
world of difference. It really does. It really does. It makes a huge difference when we can focus on that mind shift, you know. It,
Hmm.
it it's so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I think that there's no right or wrong answer
Hmm.
when it comes to stuff like this. Uh, and and even with all of that, underneath all of those things, there's always something, always something to be grateful for.
Yep.
Always
Well, and just like somebody said in the
something
comments, every day you wake up,
you're to be grateful for.
you get a whole new day. You get a whole new chance to start over.
That's right. I'm
Every
grateful for I'm grateful for my warm bed. I'm grateful sometimes just to not get out of bed on the weekend. I'm grateful for sometimes to see my friends, you guys. I'm so grateful for you and Dana and just my friends here, because you I'm most closest to than some of my family. And so, when I'm
Mhm.
having a bad night and I'm crying and I'm alone, where do I go? To see you guys,
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that when I'm struggling. So there are things that, uh, even in the things we try to think in our life are okay, I'm trying to figure this out, I'm trying to organize this. There's always something we can find gratefulness in our life,
Yep.
no matter how difficult it is. If we can just stop for a moment,
Yep.
there's always
It'll change the, it changes the
something.
trajectory. And somebody else said, positive thoughts create positive outcomes, and that's so true.
Oh,
Not to
I
the
love
point
that.
where if you're just
Love
like,
that.
oh, I'm thankful, blah blah blah, then all of a sudden it's rainbows and butterflies. No,
Hmm.
you take the wins where you get them. Sometimes it's that moment of reprieve from being sad.
Hmm.
If it's 10
Right.
seconds of I'm grateful for this, and going back to sad. Sometimes it's a nice reprieve from that. So I would challenge. I
Right.
mean, I know I'm sure there are so many people in this chat that
Hmm.
are that dread the holidays.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's as adults the holidays just aren't as fun.
Well,
In
Thanksgiving
general.
was the last Thanksgiving I had with her. Was
Oh, see,
And the last text I had on her telephone was November 26th. So to me, I hate Thanksgiving. I'm not a
yeah,
Thanksgiving person. So it's not easy for me. But, there's this other level of, well, one of my favorite things to eat is on Thanksgiving. And, my mom's home this year for the first time in 2 years from Florida. So I'm going to get to see my mom, and
yeah.
there's that sense of gratitude. And I'm not going to stay there very long. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to get some food, and I'll probably come home and not really have the best day, but who knows what that day is going to be like.
And you never know.
Um, but you never know. You never know. And but I am grateful that I'm going to get to eat my mom's favorite food that she's going to make. So,
I love that.
I'm there. I'm always looking for something grateful in everything. And that's a mindset thing. I could
Hmm.
always say that it's going to be a shitty day because it's the worst day, because it's the last time I've seen my daughter together for a holiday. And, I don't think it's going to be good. I could really go that route and have nothing to be good said about it. Or I can say there is something that I could have some gratitude around it. So it's
Right.
really a mindset thing.
And sometimes it is has to be a because sometimes things will happen and we're like, oh wow, and it just kind of dawns on us, and we're like, oh, I'm really grateful for that right now. And then sometimes it has to be a concerted effort for us to go, I need to take a minute. What can I be grateful for in this moment? Sometimes, I mean, just like anything, it can be it might need to be an actual effort. And that's why I set alarm in my phone, because in that way, if, you know, and I'm going to do that for my gratitude. I had done it for years for my, you know, asking for God's protection and light, and, you know, surrounding myself with positivity through the day, and just having that, setting that first thing in the morning. And I'm like, why not? Why not? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to set an alarm on my phone. So it's like, what are you grateful for today? Just asking myself the question.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm going
no
to try
matter
that.
what's happening.
I'm going to try that. I love that.
Because oh my God, I've got Post-its. I do have lots of Post-its, but I also, a lot of times my moments of clarity happen when I'm driving.
Me too. Me too.
So I can't really like, anybody got a Post-it note? You know,
my
journal,
clarity is when I'm in my car a lot too. I think my Post-its come when I'm at my desk, and then I just write them because that's how my cards came about. So then I put them up, and then that's how I created cards. But my clarity comes when I'm driving usually.
Yeah, because that's when we're almost in a meditative state when we drive. That we've talked about that.
I know I've had many times where I wonder how I got from one place to the other.
Yep. We're in a, not, I want to say alpha state. I always get alpha and beta. It's not theta, obviously, because our eyes are open and awake. But when we're in that weird space out moment, when we're just like in our head, but still subconsciously we know where we need to go, so we're driving, but our, you know, our conscious mind is wandering and trying to process things. And a lot of times it's because we don't have the environment, the engaging of others, and so we just do that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yes, somebody else said somebody does that in the shower. And so, you know, how do you just find a way, whatever works for your brain. Somebody in here was saying they journal a lot. That good on you. I've been told over and over again, I'm going to write a book. I think it was Jenny Lynn was saying that she does journaling, where I have notebooks everywhere, but I only use them in certain places. But I feel like I've been told I'm going to write a book, and I'm like, okay, well, one, do I really have anything that interesting to say that hasn't already been said? Two, who the hell's going to sit down and write it with me? Because I am so ADD. I don't know how I could even get my thoughts organized, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. I just had another medium tell me that 2 weeks ago. I was going to write a book. I'm like, okay, bring it. It won't be me writing it. It'll be spirit. Tell me what to do. But yeah, somebody had said in here, do a voice recorder. So that's a good idea. So if you have that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to record this.
I did mine all on voice.
That's a smart idea.
Because Word does it all in voice. You can do it all in voice.
Yeah. So there are lots of ways. Get creative. Get creative and go back and comment on any of my videos. Like if you, I think I did a regular video post about tonight. So if any of you try new things, or if you have ideas of how to raise that vibration, or how to be grateful, or if you're getting new ways of doing things, or if you're doing it and you're seeing a result and you're noticing things change, please comment on that post. You know, I would love to see the feedback and see the results of it. You know, who knows? Maybe that's what my book's going to be about, the gratitude.
Yeah, never know. I love it. I think this is a great topic. I think you did a great job, Lorinda.
Thanks. Whether I had 5 people in here or 500, I didn't care. I was going to talk about it tonight, by God. Like I was determined, and Spirit was determined to do it too. So,
I think it was amazing.
It's midnight.
I'm going to go. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I love you so much. And keep going on this topic, because I think it's really an important topic to talk about.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got to ask for more more deep dive questions and see what I get. And hopefully I get more that we can just keep talking about. So, but thank you, Patty, for taking the time to come
Thank you.
on and sharing your stories, your ups, the downs, and how to navigate it all, and your expertise. I mean, like I just so appreciate you on so many levels, and I appreciate everybody that stuck it out. Especially there's some of you who've been in here almost the entire time, and I
Yeah.
truly appreciate everybody that's commented and interacted and shared the live. And hey, do me a favor, really quick, everybody in here, just so I can like feel better about my life. Tap the screen. We're at 29.2, just for shits and giggles. Tap the screen until we get to 33.3. Oh, that might be a lot to get to. Or even just like 30,000.
Let's get her to 33, 33, 33.
I think it'd be cool. Because in that way, our numbers will match Patty, who's at 333. I love that. Man, you guys are killing it. Oh. But thank you all. Oh, we're at 30,000 already. That was fast. Still going. Oh, yeah. Wish I could tap my own. That'd be awesome.
You can.
Oh,
You can.
I can. I didn't know that. I thought it was against the rules. 33.3. 33.3. Let's see how we doing. No, it's gonna be wild. That's a lot. Oh, yikes! Yeah, we're climbing. Okay, don't. I won't, because I don't want to get shadow banned. Okay, I won't.
Oh, you'll get shadow banned?
Katie.
I never heard that.
Katie, I didn't know that. Katie, I have not heard that in so
I never
long.
heard that before.
I feel like maybe I have heard. I don't know. Maybe I have heard you shouldn't, but there's a lot of things that you should.
No, they say so many things, and then who knows what's real or what's not real. They say you're not supposed to say the link in the bio, and then people say that they purchased a tree. They purchased Linktree, so who knows? They can, you can say
all
that.
And,
right. Yeah, so who knows anymore what you can say, what you can't say.
I don't know.
But
you guys are rocking it. We're at 32,000. So I'll stay on
until. All right, dear. You have a good night, and I will see you soon. But we have to plan to get together after the first of the year.
I know.
Do some lunch, because my birthday's in January, so maybe I'll drive down and we'll visit.
That'd be so fun. All right.
Yeah,
well,
for
good
sure.
night, Patty.
All right. Okay, honey. Okay, bye.
See ya. All right, friends. All right, I'm going to go at 33.3. It's like midnight here. Little princess is snoring. Oh, that's funny. Okay, we're at 33. Or what the 333 stands for, but I knew they were angel numbers. So three's my life path number, actually. So I like threes. Everything's in threes. And oh, yay, we hit 33.3. Okay. Thank you, guys. Man, that was fast. You guys are awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for sticking it out. I'm glad we had a small crowd in here, because I feel like I actually got to see your comments, and I did read them, even if I wasn't responding to everything. I tried to read. I'm so thankful I'm grateful that I got to read all your comments, and I'm grateful that you guys felt comfortable enough to interact and give your ideas. And I hope to hear about how hopefully this changes, for you. How does it help your thinking? How can you incorporate this in your life? And also activated gratitude. How do you help pay it forward, create that ripple effect to go forward? So I appreciate everybody tonight, and I'm sure I'll be around later this week again. I need to come on to do some live readings. I especially for my subscribers, I need to do some readings too. So, all right. Love you all. Thank you all so much. And I will see you probably tomorrow. All right. I'm so thankful. I'm grateful for all of you. I appreciate you all. Okay. Good night.